We're going to get started in just a few minutes.
How are you folks? Haven't seen you back.
Please go ahead. Please sign it. Thank you.
Thank you for all of your items, by the way. Too much for the meeting. Very helpful. The other big thing that I really appreciate by doing is they help you with fight situation. Very taking good measures. It helps. Google Maps is okay.
What I'm doing is use Google Maps first. And that way when I get to this site, like I don't have to stand around for a while figuring out what and then I kind of come myself. Otherwise, the life just came because I'm already looking at Google Maps, figuring out everything I'm doing accounted for.
Right.
Figure out the lay of the land. I gotta go.
Right.
If she didn't use my phone,
Is it? Okay. Sure. Sure. Yes. Thank you. I'll take that and then put the signage. Okay. Yes. Okay, nice to see you. Okay, great. So I will be calling up applications that are
No.
so it's not on the agenda. We're not really covering it. We're only addressing outdoor dining that we received applications for, so that I haven't received an application for it. It's not on our agenda. It's not. They told me they didn't. Right. So we're just getting out referrals for applications that for establishments that applied back in April. So we haven't gotten to, so it's kind of like I got one new application today. Before, so just because they applied a month ago, we may not see that for another 4 or 5 months.
Okay, so how can I find, so I have to come
Yeah, as far as we're concerned, that there's no outdoor dining application. So you can sign up for the CB2 mailing list. You can certainly send us an email.
Everyone signed in?
and you signed up for the mail.
So I sent out this detail.
I saw it.
Okay, I'm sorry, I gotta get the meeting started, so, okay, yeah, thank you, sorry, we're already a little bit behind, and, not really open. Session. discussion, so let me just share my screen. Thank you, everyone. If you're online and waiting, we'll be starting in just a few minutes, please. Thank you.
We're not getting to the calendar, though.
Where are you? Hi. Yeah, I'm sorry. Hi, everyone. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. Our district manager is out of town, and so there's a little bit of a little scramble over here. So if you just give us just about 5 minutes, and we'll get started. Thank you so much. No, we have to leave. I don't have anything, so I can't share. That's why Thank you.
Yeah, that's sorry.
It would be helpful. Can someone, I need to put my.
Need to be made a.
Someone just put it in the, or someone just give me the mouse so I can do it. I'll just give me the mouse. Now I need to do it from the drive.
Okay. Are you gonna do it from this one or do you want to? I just.
I'm not wrong. Yeah, it makes me weird. I still haven't received the link to send it.
I just got it.
Just making everybody come so you all can share.
Can I have the mouse so I can, or someone? I have to go to the Google Drive. Is that possible? I can't type because I don't have a keyboard behind me, so I can't. Yeah, it kind of does. I mean, I can think about or I beat that after that. Yeah, it's just gonna take, I'm sorry, I put it in PowerPoint. So I can just upload it from here. All right, it is 6:47, we have a forum, we were a little late getting started. Technical issues and lack of Zoom links in everyone's inboxes, so, let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna call this meeting to order. This is the outdoor dining working group, the October 15th meeting for the Tax Committee Board 2. I'm the chair, Valerie Rosa. So can I please have a motion to adopt the agenda? Great, so we have 5 applications this evening across 4 applicants. And we are going to get started with Tropez Wine Bar LLC. Before we get started, I'll just quickly go over the public hearing rules. We are only here to speak about the applications that are on the agenda this evening. There are 5 of them. If you're here to speak about an application we have not received, it is not on this list. That's East for Us on the bottom at 645 Hudson Street. We will not be addressing it this evening. We are having a public hearing for these 5 applications and also a public hearing for any FY26 capital and budget expense budget priorities, as well as the FY26 district needs statement. There is, if you'd like to give written testimony, there's a link that we'll put in the chat at some point to submit feedback on these 5 applications. We also will have new business where we will be bringing up something preliminarily. And then we will go in we'll go into business session where we will formally vote on these 5 applications. The way the public hearing works is we're going to call up each application separately. The committee will go through the application, and the committee will ask the applicant licensee questions if they are here. We have asked for applicants to appear in person if they're going to appear. So if you are online, we will acknowledge, I guess, but we did specifically ask for applicants to be in person if they were going to appear. Applicants are not required to appear. We will also open up the floor for public testimony once that discussion that you see on the second bullet point has happened. I will ask for if there are any speakers in the room that are here to speak on the specific application that is before us. Then I will see if there are speakers on Zoom that are here to speak on that specific application, and we will close the public hearing for each application separately. As I mentioned, we are accepting written testimony. There's a Google form that we'll put a link to at some point this evening into the chat. So if you are here to speak and you are not the applicant or licensee, you will have 2 minutes to speak. There will be no back and forth between you and the applicant or you and another committee member. applicant can choose to address, any questions, all at once, at one point. Yes,
People are sending a text with the sound is terrible.
I don't know what to do about that,
If
so,
there's anything, on it, shouldn't be, that was the one that I'm asking.
I don't know.
Usually these are lit. Is there a way to turn the sound off?
it is on, well, oh, the sound's on, it's off.
That microphone that you get louder. Just ask if the audio is better.
Can you hear me better if I speak like this?
My mom's on, she can hear fine.
Okay.
Be on there.
Someone said yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, we just have to continue on. So with that, we have San Tropez Wine Bar LLC, DBA San Tropez Wine Bar. This is for the Sidewalk Cafe. As you know, we heard the Roadway Cafe application at the end of last month. The applicant has submitted an updated site plan. We had asked for some additional measurements last time. We have not sent in the Roadway Cafe application comments. Yeah, those are due next week. So we can, if someone would like to bring that back, the roadway back up in new business to address additionally, if there's some things that have changed based on this part, we can also do that in new business. All right, with that,
Can I just see the microphone? I mean, the mouse, let me just check the microphone. It sounds like it
Okay.
may be on the laptop microphone.
okay, thank you.
So it's from this microphone.
All right. So this was the site plan that was submitted with the application. And here's the piece of this.
I think you need to speak up because I'm not sure if this is, I think it may be using another microphone.
You think it's
and
using the
we're-
microphone
Yeah.
off I just can't see the chat.
The webinar chat is saying it's still tough to hear, so I don't think that's. You just need to speak up.
You need me
so
to
maybe-
speak up, is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds like I'm really pissed off, but I just want people to hear me. Okay, so this is the updated site plan that we received this afternoon from the applicant. I don't have the sidewalk in the roadway from before, so I don't, it's, that's the one that was submitted, so.
There was a table on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm zooming in on my laptop. So one of the things that came up, Johan, that we want to address here on this application, because it is with the sidewalk and with the roadway, is that we understand the cellar doors being used, and I know we addressed that last time, but would it be possible to move that entrance for the roadway to not be directly in front of that cellar door? I mean, I know it's a little bit to the left there for staring at the site plan as is from this viewpoint. Is there any way to move that roadway door? Because it is going to impact the sidewalk cafe and the clearance. Are you open to that? I don't know if you can hear me or if you can unmute or.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I cannot hear you anymore. So it might, like, I barely heard what you say, but yes, it shouldn't be a problem to move the roadway door, not in front of the cellar door. But if you see the drawing of the next design for the roadway dining, there is no entrance door, so there is no wall on this side.
You're saying this, there's no, well, not door, I mean the entryway. So you're saying that there's no entryway?
I cannot hear you at all.
Can you hear me okay, Johan? Hold on, Johan, can you hear me?
Let me try something to raise the volume somewhere, but
Can you hear me better speaking, Johan?
I was hearing you better to put the microphone. Give me 1 second. Let me try to remove my. Do you still hear me? Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, no, I can hear you. So can we start again?
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay.
much better.
So here on the, right here, this version of Zoom, I guess it's gonna have annotation capabilities too. So this entryway, right, there's an entryway into the Roadway Cafe.
Yes.
Right, like it's the path people walk in to go to the left or the right to sit down. So what I'm asking is, since this cellar door, we understand you use it and you're trying to limit its use, but when it is open and you have the Sidewalk Cafe going on, it's really tight when the cellar door is open and that the main egress into the roadway is impacting that sidewalk clearance. So can you adjust the plan so that the entryway to the roadway is not, it's pretty almost directly across in my.
Sure, I understand. So first, I would like to say, if my roadway application is approved by the DOT, I will withdraw right away the application for the sidewalk.
So what we're asking.
No, I understand what you're asking. Yes, I can move the entree, like the entryway, not front of the curb. That is not a problem. Just what I'm saying, if the roadway, if I'm approved for the roadway application, I will not set up any table on the Sidewalk Cafe.
So what you're saying is, if you are approved for the roadway, you're going to withdraw your Sidewalk Cafe application.
Exactly.
Okay, so to the committee, that's interesting. So the committee, regardless of that is the point, this is my question to the committee quickly, is if that stands, do you believe there will still be an issue with the egress with that being the entryway?
Well, that cellar door is open a lot of the time, and so that was why we raised the concern. Sidewalk seating was in addition to that,
Right.
not the only thing. There's always congestion. I think the reason he has the seating that way is just to not be on top of the manhole or whatever it is. I mean, he just doesn't have a chair there.
Oh, I got it. I see why you would make about it. I see why you would make that.
Yeah. Push or table one way or the other for that concern for a modification. To me, the sidewalk seating is just an added congestion, but has nothing to do with our opinion that we arrived at last time.
I would recommend that we just look at this application independently.
Okay. All right, so then let's continue. So then we can continue that discussion, I guess, elsewhere. So based on that, he's just told us that if he gets approved for the Roadway Cafe, he's going to withdraw the Sidewalk Cafe. So is there anything to discuss on the Sidewalk Cafe?
Well, as I understand it, since we have an entry door between the two tables, they could step out of the entry door onto the sidewalk and serve the table on the right or the table on the left
From the doorway.
from the doorway clearance. So the 2.5 feet is not critical as far as serving aisle. That's what we came to when we discussed the different application last month. And especially if the cellar door is open, that's much more of an obstruction. You can't go anywhere near those tables if you're passing by on the sidewalk. So, if it seems to clear 8 feet or 8.2 feet. I would also like to mention that I am grateful or thankful for the diagram from DOT that shows the street curb as a thickness, and the measurement is very clearly to the joint between the sidewalk and the street curb, and not to the gutter face of the curb. So that makes it clear for everybody where the dimensions should be. Also discussed that last month.
Where is that going?
It's all, it's what they
It's better
submitted.
from- Yeah, it's better from that.
Of the thing
But-
that did that.
Everything Brian said, I agree with. The question I had was for Stella, who went and did the measurements, and it's really, where's the corner of the tree bed? And is, because this diagram doesn't actually show the tree bed, it shows the tree. And so the.
1 second.
That was, as, for you, since you've gone there and measured, that's the critical, that's the one element here.
The measurement has been made from the tree bed, not from the tree.
I'm just asking the committee member who's gone and.
Can you hear me?
Very bad. I feel it's like you are talking from an aquarium.
Okay, I'm gonna talk even louder. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Two things. One, to Brian's comment, when I measured to the joint of the curb, I got only 10 feet. Not the 10.5.
I cannot hear you. Sorry. Like it's impossible to understand anything.
Yeah, just turn one.
Okay. Does this one on?
Okay, I'm just gonna try to talk. Okay, I'm just gonna try. So I measured the storefront.
Yeah, but it's not the volume. Like Nancy say on the chat, is a clarity. Like no one can understand what you say. Yeah, even if you scream.
Is it not the volume of the speak clear?
What happened with that? One.
I should have brought my measurements. I measured it too last month, but I didn't bring those measurements with me.
I mean, they're saying it's 10 feet, 7 inches. The BP max is 11 feet.
Maybe I'm-
Or 11.2 is what.
Kind of fluctuates across the.
So are we talking about a critical measurement? Is feet? Is that the minimum? I thought that's what they arrived as, not a major regional.
Basically.
Can you hear us better now?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Okay, that's now coming through the.
Okay.
Maybe try again, so.
It's right on the.
Okay, can you hear me more, clearly?
Yes, yes.
We were just talking about, the measurement that I took of the sidewalk from the storefront to the curb, the front edge of the curb.
No, there is an echo. It's like you're saying the same thing like 5 times in a row.
Yeah, here too. Basically, we were just talking about how my measurement was that the sidewalk was only 10 feet. Still okay?
Can you write, maybe you can write your question?
Well, we asked that to be here in person, number one. So that's just the first thing, that also means other people on the Zoom cannot. So that's,
Hold on for 1 second here, I'm just.
Okay.
Sharing, I mean,
Yeah. Or.
when there's something that was very simple to adjust, like.
the power was not on, but the power is on. I'm just not sure how to switch this over, so it is just.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have.
Yeah.
So.
Any help? Appreciate it.
So there's a connection that's not correct somewhere, which is why it's not.
Is it coming from that computer?
No, that, the icon on that computer is selected as the real tech, which is hooked up to the system. But that is a good question. Did I say that not?
Yeah.
Is there any improvement on the audio?
A little bit, yeah.
Significantly more or just?
Feel better or no? Like,
Can you hear us?
Sorry. You want to
yeah,
ask?
yes.
Okay, we're just talking about how my measurement was that the sidewalk cafe, or the sidewalk width was 10 feet to the edge of the curb. We'll talk about that, and maybe if then.
The measurement from the facade from the street curb is exactly 10.7, 10 feet and 7 inches.
Okay, so we have a discrepancy, but maybe the discrepancy doesn't matter if the cafe would be okay at 2 feet wide or 2.5 feet wide, whichever one it is. Maybe we won't have a problem with that. 2 feet, I don't know. We'll talk about that. What Carter was mentioning was the measurement from the fence around the tree bed. When I measured that, I did not get 8 feet to the edge of the restaurant frontage, as indicated on the sidewalk diagram, the site plan. I got that the 8 feet would reach about 2 feet out from the frontage kind of in between the doorway and the north edge of the restaurant frontage. Which would mean that the most pushed out chair would fall kind of where the table is on the diagram.
I mean, like I went to measure by myself today, and like what is written on this this plan, like is accurate. I took the corner of the fence and I measure it all the way to the facade of the restaurant. And after I did the drawing with the table and the barricade that will be around the table.
How large are the tables?
The table, if I remember, is like 15 by 15.
Okay, because I think what I saw last time on the plans is that they were.
Yeah, well, 20 by 20 was the last one, but I saw that it would be just with the new information that I had regarding the barricade where the waiter has to navigate inside. So I asked my lumber to make some smaller than the last one. It's breaking up again.
I mean, it's basically the size of a cell phone. This is basically 5 inches is what this space is like.
15, 1.5.
And the depth is 2 feet. The depth of your sidewalk cafe is 2 feet, that's what it looks like.
Something like that. So
It's
basically, or that's 2 pieces.
2.5 feet.
Okay.
Okay.
But I repeat again, if the roadway application is approved, I will redraw this application right away.
So, Johan, we've said this twice now. So if I send over a modifications form with that listed, will you sign it?
Can you repeat, please?
If I have a 1-page modifications form that'll state if the roadway application is approved, you stating your name as the owner of the license.
Yeah, I will sign and authorize it.
Okay. Is there anything else we need to add to that form? I'm asking that to the committee.
Is the cold weather vestibule that are in the photographs, does that affect our applications at all?
Yeah.
Or is that totally?
I'm just gonna read what you say because I didn't understand, sir.
All right, so Brian's bringing up a really great point, I think in general, is how does the cold weather vestibule, which has its own application process through another entity in the city, that's a great general question, but also specifically this applicant has submitted a photograph to us that shows the vestibule. And so I guess the question is that vestibule, so he's asking it to the city, how are we weighing that vestibule that's in the photo? How is that going to affect this?
Sorry. I understood that it is a question about the vestibule, but I cannot understand very well what you say. Is breaking up, so. So anyway, if I can clarify, I don't know exactly what was the question, but when the vestibule will be installed, the roadway dining and the sidewalk cafe won't be there anymore.
That seems logical. Okay, that's all we needed to hear. Okay. Is there anything else to the committee so we can move on from this? That you want to add to the modifications form that I'm going to send over to Johan that he's going to sign. Notarize it says that if the roadway application is approved, that he's going to withdraw the sidewalk cafe application.
Just to ensure that the tree pit, the measure of the tree pit, again, you know, it just has to conform with the.
we are gonna call in the public in just a second. Okay, so any other questions for the applicant?
Oh,
Okay,
what will the perimeter demarcation be?
Thank you.
Will there be a perimeter demarcation around the Sidewalk Cafe?
Yes,
What will that be?
it should be like a small barricade with the logo of the restaurant.
Okay, and the dimension from the frontage to the outer edge of the barricade will be 2.5 to 2 feet.
Exactly.
so that barricade is within, right, because we asked. Okay. All right, are there any other questions for the applicant? I'm gonna move on to public. The public. Okay, in the room, is there anyone here in the room that's here to speak on San Tropez? If so, please come up here and you have 2 minutes.
Do the best you can.
Yeah, do the best you can.
So there's a lot of changes. I just want to say I was
And
walking
please
back
state your name and question.
Julius Photo, and I live at 310 West Fourth, which is West Fourth between Bank and Charles. I live right in the hot zone of the shed of Dysphoria.
Okay, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, so I was walking by as here, I guess this. And I noticed there were actually 4 tables on the sidewalk, including over the cellar door. I bring this up mainly because there's an enormous distrust between the residents of our block and San Tropez. We have continually gotten this information from them. I don't really, I think I can speak. And it's really been hard to make sheds, and Central Pay has been noticed for its noise, its crowds, its rowdiness, the difficulty in maintaining the communication with food and people, rest of the people at the diners. The diners in the shed, it's chaos, especially at night, especially when it's crowded during crowd hours, and there's a lot of noise. But we have nothing against the sidewalk cafe. What we want down is the shed. That is absolute part of our program. The shed must go. And we will really fight them. And we are now forming a block association, for the bank as well. And that we're also trying to form alliances with the other block associations, and bank and West 12, to sort of take that historical character of the West Village and not to have it be, you know, a trashy trash trip.
Anything else you'd like to wrap up?
Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I ask him a question?
Yes, of course.
So is the block association, are you stating that their position is,
It's in process. We're organized it.
or is your position that there should be no roadway dining?
Yes.
So
We have lots.
under the new rules, there are no shifts. There's nothing.
I know, I'm trying to get
Yeah.
through the new nomenclature, but it's not always easy for somebody different, words used to identify.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else in the room that's going to testify on this application?
They're like, you're not a wall. Yeah, yeah, they're like very
Okay.
social.
Okay.
and they-
Okay, great. Okay, so, now I'm gonna ask if there's anyone online who's here to speak on this application. You will have 2 minutes.
Start with Michael.
Okay, Michael, Big microphone up. And again, this is to speak specifically on San Tropez Wine Bar at 302 West 4th Street. Specifically the sidewalk. We have already
Michael Leslie.
voted on the roadway for this location. So please keep your comments to the sidewalk, and this is not for any general comments. This is specifically about this application. So next we'll go to,
Michael Leslie.
Michael Leslie.
This is Michael Petruzella. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So Michael Petruzella, I'm the resident and owner of 308 West 4th Street. And I just want to echo Julian. We are forming a block association, and we have now many of the residents on West 4th that are really up in arms about the fact that we're going to have both the roadway dining and sidewalk dining, on the street, kind of post-COVID on a permanent basis. We continue to be really concerned around the traffic flow on that side of the street where you have both the roadway bed and the sidewalk cafe. And the way it was described today, again, I really don't understand, and it really upsets me that these drawings are presented to you on not in scale, right? You don't have an ability to actually I don't understand why an architect is drawing it this way. Why is it not presented at scale? Because it's just not an accurate portray of the flow of traffic on that block when you have the sidewalk cafe. Now, Johan is describing he's going to have a barrier, right? So he's going to put some barrier on there. And the measurements, to me, I've measured myself, are not accurate here. And I invite you to kind of remeasure that. And we're just really concerned about, the amount of traffic that flows back and forth between the restaurant and the sidewalk cafe and the roadway bed, and then just the pedestrian traffic that's trying to just walk down the street. So I just want you to hear that despite Johan saying he's got support of the community, he does not have support of many, many of the residents on the block. And we're going to produce petition and signatures of our association to support that, to show that.
Thank you, Michael. I understand the frustration on the inaccurate drawings and drawings not to scale in general. So I feel that is something that the rules do not require, and it's very frustrating. So I share with that as a general comment, as I know many others do. Next we have Leslie Clark.
Yeah, thank you. Leslie Clark, Westfield, excuse me?
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry, Leslie Clark, West Village Residents Association. I live further up West 4th Street. My comments will be very brief. Yes, it's a very crowded sidewalk, and that measure, whether it's 10 and a half, I think that Brian Payne mentioned that in fact it's probably lower because of the way the DOT determines where it starts. But no matter how you look at it, those tables with a barrier, you're going to have this far for inside the barrier at the most. This is at the most for the wait staff. This is 1 foot for the wait staff to serve inside that barrier. It seems to me that if this is approved, what will happen is that they will serve from outside the barrier. It's just there isn't enough room for wait staff to operate within the barrier. Thank you. That's my comment.
Yeah, Leslie, just so you know, the sidewalk dining rules have traditionally been that you can serve over the shoulder of a patron if you only have one two-top. So the service aisle, just traditionally, that's been something that has been accepted. This is a new program, but nevertheless, that's what.
But we have I can't tell, there's a
There's
two tops and then one with three tops. Are they gonna have to walk
There's a
around
new
there?
diagram. There's a new diagram that was submitted today, which I think is, Valerie is putting on the screen, or it's on the screen, which is this diagram, where you can
Yes.
see that there are only two tops, one to the left and one to the right of the door. And so railing would, the railing would have to be in front of those two tops, but it could be served from the doorway side. We understand your concerns,
I do
but
understand, I understand what you're saying. You still have to shimmy past the one table to get to the other inside the barrier. Is that correct?
yeah,
Even if you're serving over, even if you're serving over there, I just think there isn't enough room on the sidewalk. This is a very narrow sidewalk. I think that, there shouldn't be a sidewalk cafe here. There's just not enough room.
Okay.
Can you hear us, Nancy?
Okay, let's, yeah, Katie?
Oh, hi. I thought you were talking to Katie Bordenaro. Well, what I have to say is the same as Leslie's. Taking the measurements as Johan has given them to us at 10.5 feet, that leaves 2.5 feet for a cafe. A 15-inch table is not realistic. This restaurant serves meals. It's not just drinks. You really can't fit a meal on a 15-inch table, and you have to have the world's skinniest waitstaff to serve inside the barrier. There simply is not room here for a sidewalk cafe. I appreciate what Johan says, that if he is allowed the roadway, he won't have a sidewalk cafe, but he should not have a sidewalk cafe anyway. There simply isn't room for it. And I have to agree with Michael that, well, this is not the place to go into how disruptive this place has been, but it has not, I'll just say it has not been a good neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Katie, did you want to speak, Katie Bordenaro? No. Okay. Next, Steve Wygura. 2 minutes.
Hi. I want to speak about this. I'm an architect and I've designed 2,000 restaurants. I was curious, you didn't show the 4th and the 5th locations. I don't know if they're some of mine.
So Steve, are you going to speak specifically on this application at 302 West 4th Street?
Yeah, I know that, but anyway, talking about this application specifically is that there's just a high level of frustration with having drawings that are misleading, misguided, whatever. And we've done 140, and DOT chose not to hire architects. That's their choice. I want to say hello to Carter, known him for many years. I'm sending a book to CB1 that I published on restaurants. The sidewalk cafe, Carter, you're right, on this location could be served left and right from that front door. So you don't need a waiter service aisle. And I'll be transmitting 3 books, one for Bob, I don't know where he's at anymore, and one for Florence. So I appreciate the time. And where would I find the other 2 applications?
So I'm not sure what two you're talking about. Also, this is not
Oh.
CB1, this is CB2.
You said you had 5 applications,
I do have 5 applications.
but you
So
only showed 3 on the screen.
I will, let me just adjust that. It's translating it to Google Slides. So we'll just wait a second, maybe I can adjust
Okay.
it.
No problem.
Yeah, oh yeah, you can just go, yeah, can someone put the link in the website for, Steve?
It's all right. I don't want to take up
Yeah.
any more time. I'll find
Okay,
it.
great.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks. So next, is there anyone else for this application for, it's okay. Seeing none, we will finish discussing it we'll finish discussing it in business session. We're gonna go to our next application. So Johan, I'll be following up with you with the modifications form as we discussed, asking again for that measurement, specifically on the tree bed, as well as stating that you will withdraw your sidewalk cafe application if your roadway cafe application is approved. So next, let's go back to share the screen. So next we have Mino Wine Bar, which is also Johan, so we will continue. That's why he's still staying on, because he knew that was next. Great, so let me just share. All right. So we're Mino Wine Bar. This is on a neighborhood corridor, 8-foot clear path. It's at the corner of West 12th and Greenwich Avenue. So this is when you have those on. Okay. Would you like to start?
That was one of hard to measure. So anybody else who hasn't gone over it, can help out. I measured that the West 12th Street sidewalk width, was, again, it fluctuated because it gets wider at some point. But I got that it was about 15 feet, which means that the sidewalk, I think, could be at most 7 feet wide. And then similarly on the Greenwich Avenue sidewalk, I got that the width was 12 feet 10 inches, not 13 feet 4 inches, which means that the sidewalk cafe could be at most 4 feet 10 inches wide there. And those measurements are using the 8-foot clear path requirement. So that's kind of the first thing. I don't know what your, I think it's
I had 15 points.
Mhm.
Yeah, like, to the, I included it. And that's it, so I just did it from there to there.
Yeah, we want to get it here and not.
Yeah, that makes sense, because
About-
usually, but I
about-
measured some curves usually about that, 5 or 6 inches, and then, the other measurement I did was, so again, I included the curve at 3.4 inches to the ramp from the curve, so that would be about 11.8 inches. For sidewalk cafe and clear path.
It's 8-foot clear path.
It's an 8-foot clear
Or
path.
is it? Greenwich Avenue is the regional?
I think both are 8 feet.
I think.
Because I'm I'm assuming West 12th is the neighborhood corridor, but I don't know if Greenwich Avenue right here is. To begin with. It's not.
I think it's, I was missing 8 feet.
Because there have been cases where it's one on one side and it's one on the other.
I wasn't sure where there could be a second row of tables because, the diagram right now shows the clear path from the street light directly, towards the restaurant. And it doesn't show the 8 feet diagonally from the street light. And from how I was measuring it, I didn't think that there could be a second row of tables to the east of the street light. So that table and chair
That
is
one
the
table, the
yeah, the
one-
one closer to the neighboring building. I didn't think that that could be there.
Because of the 8 feet.
Right.
The light pole being this blue light bulb. Right?
Yeah. And then Donna, you had notes about the other tables.
Yeah, what I don't understand, I didn't measure as well as you did, Stella, but just visually looking at it, what's set up there now, that seems to fit along the length of the restaurant frontage. What's there now are 3 tables going the length of the restaurant. So and they're not huge tables, so I'm not sure how the 5 tables will fit. It just doesn't, I mean, if you just look at that overview picture I put in there, so I'm not talking about the depth, I'm just talking about the length. Now, maybe you could switch them further together and people don't have to pull the chairs out, maybe you get one more in there, but there's one named over here. That middle one, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this one.
Yeah. So you see, there's 3 tables, it's hard to tell where, but there's 3 tables along the building. 1, 2, the first one is blank, and the second one has people in it. That's 3. So I don't know how you would fit 5 in there.
You're saying there's 3 there. Are those the tables you intend on using, Johan? So. Yes, Johan.
Thank you, muted.
Oh. I'm asking to unmute.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I plan to use the same table, just the layout is gonna change. I'm gonna remove the mailbox that you see on the bottom under the menu and pull the table a little bit toward the entrance. There are small tables, there are brasserie tables, so I can fit easily the 5 table in a row.
So it's not gonna be, so it's gonna be this.
Yeah.
The 2 next to one another, right? You're saying it's one table.
No, it's gonna be a row of 5 tables.
A row
Like
of 5 tops?
No, a row like next to the facade is gonna be like 5 tables, like it is on the plan.
Right, okay.
the first table along the frontage that you plan to add that's closest to the door,
This,
no, next to it?
this?
You're right, so you're saying that there's gonna be one closer to the entrance of the restaurant?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and then I don't know that there will be able to be a second row.
This row or this row?
This row, right, if it's closer in because it has to be 18 inches from the manhole. So
How many inches from the main hole? I'm sorry.
Like 6 inches.
All right. I didn't have this information. I will review it.
So I think that you could fit another table along the restaurant next to the windows, closer to the entrance. But I don't think there could be a second row table at that point. Does that make sense? Because
It makes sense.
Yeah, okay, cool. Thank you.
So are we asking for a set of modifications you want to present to him? And what are you
This one doesn't work for you, and this one doesn't work for you. So I think what you were saying is, table on the curb side.
Unfortunately, just, what Steve, Pagoda had brought up was correct, so these are not architectural plans. And so when you do the measurements compared to them, they're not the same. That photograph illustrates the manhole isn't placed properly. And so it becomes difficult when we have to go through this minutia because of the change. But that was not done by city council. That was done, at least by DOT, that was done by city council very early on, pandemic, prior to the adoption.
The manhole cover is really to the right side of the door. I think what we're saying is that between the 8-foot clearance you need by the lamp post and the 18-inch clearance you need from the manhole cover, that to the left side, curved side of the lamp post, you could probably fit one table. And according to Stella's measurement, it looks like you may not be able to fit any table to the eastern side, right-hand side.
Okay, I can draw with this. So are you saying?
So if you could just use your mouse pointer,
And just
now
go to the
and
middle.
just over what Donna is saying, so
This?
that
No, go to the curb
the
side.
outer
Right.
row.
So that one probably won't fit because Stella's saying the 8 feet is from the lamp post, right? And the one to the right of that, to the left of that,
I was trying to draw it in real time. Yeah.
so the one to the left of that also, there's an issue with between the 8-foot clearance and then and the manhole cover, which basically sits where the leftmost table is. Between those two things, it looks like you could only fit one table on that side.
Can you use the mouse pointer to elaborate that?
Yeah. It's trying
So
to.
Donna has said it a couple times, so this roof,
You're saying this table doesn't work. I was just trying to draw it to cross it out, because it's like ridiculous with the annotation tools on this version of Zoom. So we're saying this table it doesn't work with the clearance. This table doesn't work with the clearance. This table doesn't work.
No,
None of these
no, the middle table
May work.
may work.
These two don't work.
No. Hold on, slow down. The manhole knocks out what we're looking at, the bottom left. The bottom left table, just that one. The middle table is okay.
How does it not knock this one out? It looks like it's.
Because it's not properly located.
So the manhole cover there is not in the right place.
Okay.
It's more, like, move your mouse down a little,
Right here.
over a little bit, like right there.
Got it.
So when you take in the 18 inches from the west and the 18 from the east, you need
Yeah, it may not be able to fit any table.
Yeah, let me just pull that up. I just need to know what tables we're asking him to, put in the modifications. I can't, I don't have it for one. Oh, no.
So that.
That one. The table that's out here, not here.
Yeah.
Here's fine. And this is the middle table.
At least one table. What we're saying is potentially one table on the first side.
There, the EPS.
From the.
I need to know what table we're asking.
We're asking him to remove all the ones on the curb side, aside from one. In the door. and the one outside.
So this one's fine. No, this one's fine.
No. That one may be fine.
What?
Yep.
Remove this one.
Yep.
Okay, so all these are fine?
Good. I
So
personally.
maybe, so we said, so we're gonna have to do it on like this. So Johan, we're gonna ask, I will present you with a modifications form for this sidewalk cafe, where, we will ask you to just have the one table right here and to remove the table. So, would you sign a modifications form to reduce it?
Yeah, sorry, because it's breaking a lot. Show me which table you would like me to remove.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, so.
Basically, it's only
Can you
one.
just use your cursor and?
Here,
So-
why don't somebody use the cursor, because I cannot.
Well,
use
this
it.
is what's on the screen.
I know, I know,
This is
I'm
the
trying to
table
mark
where-
it up.
This is the
No.
table that we're asking you to keep. Right here where the cursor is, can you see that?
So this one you want me to keep, and I have to remove which one?
You have to remove this one, you have to remove this one, and you have to remove this one, because of the different clearances. You know, this manhole cover that's you're drawing here is really located here. Your manhole cover is not over here.
I'm getting further. This one next to the manhole, like I understand, so I agree with you, but I would like to review the other table later tomorrow or another day, if you don't mind.
From here. And.
Yeah, I
here.
understand.
Okay.
That's I would like to review it before to give any answer.
The manhole impacts. The manhole impacts the two tables on the outside. So when you move things over, there's not room for the two tables on the outside.
I understand. So for the table next to the manhole, I agree with you to remove it, and for the other one, I would like to give my decision later.
The now or the now?
Okay.
Road now, but it's actually pronounced Roadway. I think it's a German. Our old. Yeah. His dad really wanted
Will there be the same barriers that mentioned for this one as well as okay?
Are you talking to me?
Yep.
Yeah, could you?
The barricades for the perimeter, will it be the same?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Is there anyone here in the room that's here to speak on this application, which is Mino Brasserie at 225 West 12th Street? Anyone online? Great. Nancy? Promoted or? Yes. Nancy? Kingsley?
Hello? Okay,
You have 2 minutes.
thank you. It's very difficult to read this diagram. I can't read what's in the blue or the brown, but I want to say that on the far left, the doors that are labeled as building entrance to Sidewalk Cafe are actually the main entrance to the residential building. And the table that is shown on the far left here is right up against that entrance. To get the 5-foot clearance from the main building entrance, that table also has to be removed. That one, yes.
So I think on, I don't think that this, when it says building entrance to Sidewalk Cafe, they're not saying that's the building entrance for the Sidewalk Cafe. I think it's saying the distance from the building entrance, that being a primary building entrance, identified to the Sidewalk Cafe is 7 feet.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. I can't hear what you're saying. The rules are.
I'm aware of the rules. It's a 5-foot clearance.
Right, and he does not have this diagram and the setup that is on the street right now does not have a 5-foot clearance from this entrance.
I think there is way more. I think there is way more than 5 foot.
Not at the, excuse me.
So to be clear, while we can go and see what is currently outside and presently at the site, we are judging this based on what is proposed in the site plan. So if whatever is cited is similar to where it falls here, like that's what we're judging here. Like we're not judging people's current setups, only that we do ask if they are to acknowledge that. So Johan, to Nancy's question, for what you currently have set up, and she's saying it's not 5 feet, are you saying that this table as proposed here is closer, closer in, it's not as what is out there right now? Can you speak to that?
Well, the diagram, as people have said, is not really to scale, and it does not show a distance from that entrance. All I can go by is what is there currently, and what this looks to me like what is there currently, and what is there currently is not a 5-foot clearance. And I believe Johan said that he was going to have the same tables, 5 tables in the space that he is now using. I think that's what he said.
So currently, thank you, Nancy. So currently, Johan, you have a 4-top setup there based on the photographs that have been shown this evening. You're saying you're putting a 2-top where there's a 4-top, is that correct? I understand it's the 5 in the row, but you're showing here a table with 2 chairs. People are commenting that there are tables with 4 chairs out there. Is that, am
I think what Nancy's saying is that she does not believe there's 5 feet. I don't know what his diagram says, and I did not measure that when I'm there. Either way, he just needs to leave the 5 feet. I mean, I think it's, personally, I feel like it's hard for us to say exactly how many tables and chairs, because he could change the size of the table. He's using the tables he has
right,
right
but
now.
he has said on here.
So he's using those. I don't see how far we're gonna fit, but he has to.
No, on the site plan here, it's very small, but it says the table is 2 feet by 2 feet. So when the applicant has indicated to us the size of their table, we can comment on it.
Push that.
I mean, that's okay, that's okay, that's okay. I mean, I count about 21 feet if you count, again, if you count a chair being 2 feet by 2 feet and the table 2 feet by 2 feet. Anyways, okay, I'm not really here to do measurement math in that way. Are there any other comments on this? Nancy, did you finish your comments? Because I started speaking, and so did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Well, I think my other comment is that I don't see a barrier here. I assume there's going to be one, and it's going to have to kind of snake around whatever tables are left on the outside rank and snake around the clear path around the light pole. So I assume there is going to be a barrier, but I wish it had been drawn in. Can I ask what the blue area and the brown area are, because they absolutely can't be read?
So the blue area says 225 West Front Street building, so that's indicating the building. And the red is indicating the restaurant frontage. And the yellow is indicating the street. So we do not.
Okay.
All right, is anyone else here to speak on this application, Leslie Clark?
Yeah, Leslie Clark from West Village Residence. I'll also make my comments short. I also found this drawing very confusing, and more so because I looked at the site, and so I see what's there now, and now I look at what's here. It looks to me like there are 6 tables along this frontage in this drawing, right? There are 6 tables. Am I right about that in that drawing? If that's the case, people seem to me to be, how are they gonna get in and out? I mean, they look like the seats are jammed up against one another. There isn't even room to push your seat back, to get into these tables. It seems to me that the way it is now, I mean, the way it's 3 tables wide, there's 3, 4 tops, and now you're putting 6 along that same frontage. It's crowded. It's very crowded. If I'm correct in reading this diagram, as I'm looking at 6 circles along the West 12th Street frontage, is that correct?
I'm not really here to verify, somebody else can actually.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I just said that's just my comment. They're kind of jamming people right up against each other. There's no room for people even to push their chairs back. It seems to me that at least one of these chairs, one of these tables along that frontage should go. Otherwise, you're just going to be jamming people up against one another. That was my comment. And I also said that I find it confusing to look at this diagram compared to what is there now. Although what is there now shows a lot less width of these tables, with room between tables for people to get in and out, which is not, I don't think it's available in this.
Great, anyone else? On our next application.
Before we do that, we're gonna pause for 1 second. I'm gonna try and reboot the audio connector.
Okay, so we'll take like a 3-minute break.
Let's see. Can anybody still hear us? You can, all right. So the microphone is somehow not hooked up properly because the microphone that we're supposed to be using is not. It's resetting. No, I mean, it's just not the right one.
Our standards in the restaurant industry can show you. Anything to do with this, dining.
On sidewalk with I have 14 feet on frontage, they have it as 9.8, and then it's 15.
Yeah, I
But
have.
it's not like Tropez.
Can people hear us any better now?
Yeah,
Yeah?
way better. Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay. There we
Okay,
go.
thank you.
What did you do?
All right, so Johan, you're gonna think about just going down to the one table on that second row of tables closest. I'll send you the modifications form and you can just let me know either way, so we're not meeting, but it'll have a deadline on there.
And not having 6 tables.
I have a quick question. When it is approved or disapproved, like from DOT, regarding the liquor license, will I have to come back to community board after to okay. Even if this one at the Sidewalk cafe prior COVID, like the license issued by the Consumer of Affairs.
It doesn't, if this is a pre-licensed cafe,
Yes.
it's all treated the same. I mean,
No, this is treated as a new program and everybody has to reapply.
yeah, that's what I need to
And
say.
everybody has, and the reason for that is that they need all the new information.
All right.
So the chair, Lily Fan of the Liquor Authority said that this is all, everybody has to reapply with the new information from the new program because of all the changes.
All right. So as soon as I receive the approval, I have to set up like a meeting with the committee board, like to move forward with the like a license.
That's correct.
Correct. Okay. Thank you.
And just the one thing to add to that is that you cannot apply to the liquor authority, and this is from the liquor authority themselves. This is their determination. That you cannot apply to the liquor authority until you've been approved by the city. By the city. So it slows down the process, unfortunately, for you because of that. Our decision. That was the liquor authority who decided that?
But what I heard is like the deadline for the SLA was January 1st, which is impossible since the city won't be able to approve it before.
That is also correct, but Chair Fan has said that she will revisit this at either the last meeting, the last liquor authority full board meeting in November, or at the first one in December. That she will take into consideration updated information, and they may revise that.
All right.
And obviously, I'm not sure if the city has approved a single license yet completely. And if they have, it's only a few.
Just for your information, I was the second one in New York City to apply for Mino and Tropez. And I'm just like, it was in March, so, and I'm only at this point, so yeah, I think it's gonna take 6, 7, 8 months more.
Yeah.
You said it was one of the first ones.
Second one.
Yeah, I mean, that just shows you, it took 7 months for your application to get here. We heard your first application, within like 48 hours, so we're trying to get through them fast. It would have been nice if they had referred your Sidewalk cafe with, but I know that's not what you're doing, that was the city. That was the agency, so thank you. All right, so next, we have, Lelabar. So go back to my, I don't know if you have
I'm good to go.
Yeah. We have no further questions for you, Johan. I will be following up with you with 2 modifications forms for your consideration. One on the Sidewalk Cafe and one at, they're both Sidewalk Cafes, one for San Tropez and one for Mino.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Bye. Okay, so let me go share the screen so I can go back. So now we have Lelabar, which we have for Sidewalk and for Roadway. This is NRA Cafe Inc., CBA Lelabar, 422 Hudson Street. We're hearing the Sidewalk Cafe application first, and then we will hear the Roadway. So I just pulled these from the sidewalk, or this is showing the roadway. There's the tree bed that's on their plan. This being the bar here, these are the applicant photos. That's the, I think they just use the same photos on both applications. The roadway, tree bed. So here is our plan. That's probably the most legible plan we've seen this evening, I have to say. So who would like to start with this one? My first inclination, first of all, I actually don't know if the applicant is here, so while if you want to start with comments, I certainly have some about it. All right, start. I think the third table, I'm not sure that can work there. It being this one. I don't know if others had that same inclination, so if we want to start there. Again, for the Sidewalk Cafe, even though this says sidewalk and roadside, it may very well be the same site plan we are looking at for the roadway, but right now we are just discussing the sidewalk portion. So I think that I think this is a hard case to make for this third table here.
I just want to ask if somebody's on and ask.
I'm gonna look.
So this is a regional corridor, which requires a 10-foot clear path, so it's even marked on the diagram 8 feet, so I don't. It's marked an 8-foot clear path, so they need 2 more feet in there, so it won't work. Let's see how that third table works.
You're saying 8 feet from the tree bed, so
Well, they have it marked as 8 feet.
Well, the 8 feet is from the tree bed.
Right. But it needs to be 10. That needs to be 10.
This is, oh, right.
So once you push that
right.
in, you're halfway into those tables.
But it can work, those 2 tables can work, no?
I honestly wasn't sure. I measured that it was under 6 feet there from,
Doing some math.
I measured that this was not 6 feet. I measured it was 5 feet 3 inches, but they did have a planter here, and I don't know if they're going to keep that planter.
Well, so here's the deal, is we know that they're not, because they're not showing it on the plan, right?
Okay.
Whether that remains to be sure is up for debate, but that's, they're not showing up on the plan, so we should assume they're not going to.
Sure. Either way, I think that this is less than 6 feet. Even if, let's say it is 6 feet, the way that they have it right now.
You say it's 6 feet across the cellar door?
From the entrance
Okay.
to the edge here. The way they have it right now is a bench spanning and then 1 table. And then a chair here and a chair here. And I think that even within a 6-foot space, I'm not sure that you can have, once these chairs are pushed out, I'm not sure that there can be 2 tables side by side like that. If you wanna, oh, I have. How do I?
One of the things here, right, is that you have an adjoining business, that presumably has applied for the roadway dining. Right, and so if that is in fact accurate, explains what will happen. Not outside of the boundaries. I'm not disagreeing, just, and it looks like from the pictures that the setup of their tables is not parallel to the frontage, it's actually perpendicular.
For the sidewalk?
Yeah, so the current, if I'm just looking at the pictures that were submitted by the applicant, the seating is perpendicular and it's not parallel, but the plans presented to us are parallel. So that's why they tried to fit in an extra table with that different configuration. Right. So the plan that we have, they tried to maximize, but they're trying to put two tables in what is the width of the bench. And I think you're right, that doesn't fit. And again, you know, this is sort of the problem of the not scale and the precision of the measurements, because typically these two top tables, not the ones that they're showing, are 2 feet diameter. And they're saying they're 6 feet, so if you add 2 tables, that's 4, and you're left with 2. And so this plan does not seem realistic of what they presented. So I think that the recommendation from us should be 2 tables parallel, not 3. Well, I mean, it can be whatever, but they have enough space for 2 tables when they're perpendicular, sort of. Even that's tight, but that would be a better configuration.
Why can't they do it, why, I guess it's still needs time.
And then that they have just over 3 feet out from the restaurant front. Like from here to where it could be 10 feet. Somewhere in here.
Oh, that didn't,
Right.
and this is a 10-foot requirement.
Right.
So in fact, there's only room for 1 table, 2 chairs,
That's right.
because of the 10-foot requirement.
Because you were saying perpendicular. The other one doesn't.
So you're saying the 1 table works, the one on the right? Or the one on the left?
Either one, is a wide table, but it doesn't mathematically seem like there's width for 2 tables. Parallel to the building.
Kind of just for what they have right now, right?
Yeah.
If anyone in the audience is here from representing the applicant / licensee for 422 Hudson Street or Lelabar, I don't see any of the 3 names that are on the application present. So if you do, please raise your hand. Yeah, I see Kate. Kate, I'll call you just a second. Okay, so we can do something similar. We can talk about this in business session, where we would do a deny unless, and if they agree to modify the sidewalk cafe to 1 table, then we could approve it with modifications. We can talk about that in business session.
I think we reverse it. This is actually a denial.
A denial.
Because this doesn't conform. But if they are willing to change it, we would, it's actually the opposite. Because they were not here, did not responded. The position should be a denial, period. but we know what would fit. And so if they amend that,
That'll be an approved modification.
right, it just. It's two separate positions, and one is conditional. It's not a denial list.
That's what I meant.
And then the other point is just ensuring that that sidewalk hatch is reinforced and stable.
The doors.
The sidewalk
That's
hatches, yeah.
indicator.
I'm just looking, was that mentioned in their questionnaire?
Says they put a check, and it says, if you plan to use, or place tables on top of a cellar basement door, please complete the cellar or basement door certification.
Right. So they did check it.
Is it clear what their perimeter demarcation is? Is it just that line? Is it this black line?
Yeah, so on your measurements, yeah, just where, can you, to the edge of that sidewalk hatch? Do you have measurements on that? Or where is it? 8 feet?
I did not measure.
I know.
This is great, but I didn't see the further breakdown.
So roughly that 8 feet is just, if you're dividing that roughly in thirds, the space that would fit is roughly within the sidewalk hatch.
Yes.
And so when you go back to the other photograph, they had provided, yeah, you can see how far out the current, and why there's only room for one.
That's not the one they provided them.
Okay, they you took it.
Yeah, I don't know if you put out.
Referencing that.
Yeah, so they're showing, so what I'm curious. If you have the site. So. So they, if you look at what they've submitted, right, they have these boxes, right, but they're demarcating here. You guys see that in the box? So. Is that what this is? It's the other.
No, it may be, but nevertheless.
Does that matter?
Nevertheless,
Is that
I'm not
common?
concerned with what they use as their demarcation. Because whatever they have now is not part of the
Right.
program. But any which way, they don't have enough room,
Okay.
period.
Okay.
Whether they use a straight barrier, but because they have a little bit extra room because the width, they may be able to use those and still be.
Okay. One, two. Okay, so one modification to denial, approved. We should move on to the roadway.
And just as a note, it's also possible that if it is parallel, it is possible that they could have a four top as well.
What's parallel?
If the tables, the two tops parallel, being on the outside, with the table against the building, it's possible that there's room for a four top, but there's not room for two.
A four top here? Like one four top?
No, the two tables on the right side, if those were pushed together, it would still leave a 5 inches, but because the service lane wasn't required, because you could serve over the shoulder, there would be room for one four top.
So should the modification say 1 2 top or 1 4 top?
Technically, I think that needs the,
One table.
But 1 2 top or 1 4 top?
it's
One
one
or the
table.
other.
Yeah, but there's only room for one table.
Either one table being either
A
one
two top or four
two
top.
top or 1 4 top. But where the configuration is these two pushed together,
Correct.
not these two,
But
but
I
these
think
two.
it's
Yeah.
different thinking. Instead of parallel.
Right, that's right.
Okay, Katie?
And the key is.
Hi. Yeah, thank you. I was just confirming the applicant isn't here, so that's a problem. But also in the pictures, I've got it both on. Yeah, the pictures to the north of the restaurant. Those planters, there are two planters flanking the residential door. Am I seeing that correctly? There are two planters flanking the residential door. I mean, we don't know whether those are planters from the restaurant or from the residential. Is that correct? They don't seem to be noticed.
They're not part of the new application. They're,
But
that's
there's no seating here, there's no
nothing,
seating
yeah.
here for the application, it's just over here.
Well, I'm just saying if they're part of the residential, if they're owned by the residents, the residential area, they may not be removed. I mean, the restaurant didn't put them on, but are they indicated? They're not indicated on the restaurant plan. Do they impede anything from the restaurant? Because it looks to me as if they're not owned by the restaurant. Do they?
There's nothing here, they're proposing the,
Doesn't impede anything. There's
Say
plenty.
that again. It is hard. This has been a challenge all day. So, one person at a time. Are they a problem for the restaurant or not? I guess.
No, it is clear, it is enough clearance away from the seating, the sidewalk cafe, that it doesn't enter into the picture at all. It's not an obstruction for anything for the seating of the restaurant.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. Appreciate it. I'm going to say good night now. And thank you for trying to make the audio better. It's been an adventure, shall we say, for all of us.
yeah. Nancy?
Nancy Paisley.
Okay, thank you very much. Despite Carter's efforts, the sound still is not very clear. But I'm looking at the diagram that was submitted. Not the one that had 13 feet 2 inches, but the one they submitted that has 12 feet 6 inches from the tree bed to the facade. And it seems to me if you have the 10-foot clearance, then you've got 2.5 feet max for the restaurant itself. And I think you were saying that meant they could have one table against the wall, possibly seating 4 people, possibly seating 2 people. Is that right? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, then that would be what I would see as doable here. And they do have to have 10 feet from the tree bed. That's very clear in the DOT rules.
Correct, right, it's
So there's only room for one.
there's only room, right, because because it's,
Okay,
right, because it's parallel to the.
and if you have 2.5 feet and you have a table, And the barrier is right up against the table, and the wait staff serves over the shoulders of the one or the two people sitting closer to the door. You don't have a corridor for the wait staff.
No, not required to have a corridor in that case.
Yeah. All right, then that's where I came out.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the room who have been called on for this application for the sidewalk? We're gonna move to the roadway next. Is there anyone on Zoom? Okay, so now we're gonna move to the roadway, and just so I can make sure, I'm just gonna go to that. So on the roadway, who wants to start?
I think, practically speaking, the tables and chairs are in fact designed that way, they don't fit. Well, if you have a typical configuration of a 2-foot by 2-foot table, you can't have the tables as configured that are perpendicular to the building line, because if the table is 2 feet, each chair is 1 foot, the chairs can't fit that. Well, each table is 2 feet wide. Yeah, but if each chair is 12 inches by 12 inches, and the table is 2 feet by 2 feet, you have a total of 4 feet.
4 feet per table.
Per table, and it's only 8 feet wide. So it's not practical. And so the configuration, well, what I'm just pointing out is that unless you have smaller tables, it's not, they have to be set up the way, they have to be parallel to the storefront, again, to really work. So this is,
Chairs have
so,
to be.
right, so if you see with the roadbed barriers, when they're put in, you actually, I don't believe, have an 8-foot interior space, it's actually less. And so this configuration with either two tops that are parallel to the storefront or a 4-top, this works. But it does not work in the site plan presentation.
So does this work? What's in the photo?
Obviously it does, because it seems to, I don't believe it's wider than 8 feet. So this is realistic. I don't know, Stella can speak to.
Why do we think that they didn't just even put just 2 tables in the middle? They're like this.
But they've got.
Well, it's the equivalent seating.
Although I measured, so it is 8 feet as it is now in width, but in length, it's 22 feet, 2 inches is what I got. Right, it extends past, the restaurant right now. So it would actually be, in their site plan, it says it would be 8 feet by 15.5 feet. And so right now, in a larger space, they're putting 5 tables, and in a smaller space, I think they can fit 8. But the length would be,
The one right now, it extends beyond this way, right?
right.
Okay, so what you're saying is it 15.5 in length now?
No, it's 22.
But so now what you're saying is, from what we see, the amount that they're saying fits in 22 feet is not gonna fit in 15. So you think 6 tables where it's parallel would fit?
I think that that's, tight, but I think it would work, but this configuration is not.
Okay.
The dimensions are not inaccurate, but it just doesn't, it's not realistic.
So we can do a similar thing here where we,
Either 6 and 12 seats, or 4, they have 4 tops, but 6 and 12 seats, but they're using round tables in the current configuration. So it would either be 4 and 1, or 6
whatever
and
is
2.
6, whatever
Yeah.
is the 6 tables or 12 seats.
Parallel, but parallel.
I mean, on one hand, it's funny to even comment on how many tables they can have, because when they have it at 15.5 feet, they're gonna,
They can't fit
they're
more.
gonna see how many they can have.
But what the reason that we would like to do that is so that at least is a realistic expectation. Because if there isn't a notation on any, and this is the official site plan, it doesn't, if there is a non-compliant situation in the future, and they say, oh, but we can, it's not. Which is why I keep pointing out that the old way that sidewalk cafes were licensed, where it indicated a number of tables and chairs, provided complete clarity and no issues. But in this new program, they don't do that, and it creates.
But also, they would have to know, at the time, because the architect, they would be paying an architect to fit it and render it in. So there's not this whole like dance around of, well, we don't know, we'll have these custom tables made once we get approved, and then we don't have all these things, so. Okay, so.
It looks like you were sketches.
Everything looks fine in the plan, but it's usually not what's in reality, which I think is where the disconnect is. Right. Okay, so, great, so we'll discuss this in section. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Say that they're gonna have umbrellas, and if they do, so we're just gonna assume that they are not going to have umbrellas. Because they don't state it.
They didn't check anything on the plan, right? They didn't say anything about, overhead coverings or umbrellas. So we could just add things on the modifications, is like they're confirming that they've indicated that they're not using umbrellas, and that just might be something, again, that's assuming they won't agree to.
And also, I don't know if they have a ramp that they pull out now.
To go down into the.
But it's not elevated, and they don't say that it will be elevated for you.
Right, they currently have it where it's at grade with the road, there is no separate, flooring, and so you're saying from the curb to there. So maybe we just add in the same language about the ramp.
And this is an important point as we go through these, and I'm not sure if that's, I guess you have it on the checklist, but it's important because most of the ramps, as a few people on this committee, as I pointed out, the curb heights differ dramatically all through our community. And the ramps, which are used, typically are the metal ramps that fold in half, which are used for this purpose. They extend several feet down. And so in order to provide the ADA access, it essentially, just to get onto the grade, it requires the elimination of one row of tables in order to provide the access. And while it's on-demand access, it's just, is a practical consideration, if anybody really does need that access, and there are already people in the dining structure, it would require the removal of everybody to have normal access utilizing the ramps. So, and where that comes in my own personal experience, having watched this, is that younger people who are very adept at moving and don't mind a little bit of complexity and going up and down may not use a ramp and will just roll over the curb, even though it is a significant drop. But if you have anybody else in any type of mobility, electric, older, anything else, where you're not leaning the wheelchair back and doing everything, it makes it very difficult to have real compliance into design, which basically renders it moot, and it isn't ADA accessible. So it's a long-winded way of saying that. That's my issue.
Questions. What's going on right now? It doesn't matter, there's no random.
Maybe they right, and some people like small. Like some have some that are just permanently there in general, right? But not the majority.
So usually the temporary ramps are long enough in length that the angle is, I'm not saying it's compliance, because I know the real compliance requires a certain height. But many of those temporary ramps, it either provides accurately or it's long enough that even if it's high, it's still a longer grade down.
Another question is there
There is, but it's the temporary.
You still have to abide by the requirements of the providing access to the setup.
There's no guidance on what that is.
No, in fact, I asked that question
So
today. And
I only see the application for the site. The site plan shows the road there. But I don't see a questionnaire filled out where it addresses how they're going to provide the ADA access to the roadbed. And the city, of course, has modular elements that they could put out there and bring it up flush with the sidewalk. So no ramp at all. But I don't see anything for that. I don't see what they're on the surface of a roadbed back.
Right.
I'm hoping you something
Nothing on form is checked. And the other thing, did they mention the umbrellas at all?
No, that's what Stella mentioned, that we should add in the modifications was that they're confirming that they are not checked that box, that they are not. They didn't check the box.
So this is a good, I had thought about this before, but this is just want to raise it to everybody. If people are using umbrellas with a weighted base, that weighted base needs to, on many of these, be under the table, or otherwise the base itself creates the obstruction. Which their picture that they had provided shows that. But this is the frustration, right, of not having an architect or somebody professional in the studios assisting you that you don't have.
That was in a photo?
Bases.
Oh, yeah.
So there's significant bases.
Yeah. Because of the whole room.
Maybe that's why I think they can have that third.
So really in the diagram, show where the ramp is going and where the umbrellas are going. Just about not for this one, general, yeah, in general. And then decide on.
Okay. Is there anyone, we heard, so on the road, is anyone want to speak in the room on the roadway, for roadway cafe for Lelabar 422 Hudson Street? Is there anyone on Zoom that wishes to speak on the roadway portion of Lelabar. All right, move on. The last one we have is Feast on Us, and I believe the applicant is here. Are you still with us? All right, we're gonna promote you to panelist. Okay, she declined to be promoted. You don't have to turn on your camera, I just didn't allow you to talk. Hi Nadia, we're gonna pull up your application. Hi, we're gonna pull up your application and then we will ask you some questions.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so Feast on Us for a Roadway Cafe at 645 Hudson Street between Horatio and Gansevoort. And here's the so is the plan, so the way that we are, there's no north arrow on this plan, which is required. So for everyone, this is a sidewalk, Hudson Street, this being the roadway, the parking lane, and then there's another row of parking right there. This is the sidewalk here. For context, the frontage here, they're saying it's 16 feet, I believe. And 3 tables, and then they have a current configuration in there now. There are 2 tree beds that are nearby, but I know that there's not no requirement there. So here are some photos submitted by the applicant. This looks a lot different now. It's no longer this fence. So I have some recent photographs. So yeah.
Sorry, those photos, they were in the beginning stage, but then we had done a little bit of minor changes to the whole, to the outdoor dining. So I didn't resubmit them.
That's all right. I understand that we probably applied earlier in the program and
Okay.
so this is a photograph that Stella took here. So currently, we see that it extends beyond your frontage within your plan. Just one second, let me just bring the plan into the presentation.
No problem.
Go back and forth and render online when I log in. Oh, like this. Oh, I can see this, right? Well, I have to, oh, right. so. Application is going, so Nadia, it sounds like you recognize that the current configuration extends beyond. It's not what you're proposing here in this plan with the 3 tables. You're going to rebuild what's currently there, is that what you're saying?
No, there are only 3 tables in. We don't have more than that.
Right, but the perimeter, like the perimeter currently extends beyond your frontage. Your frontage is here
Yeah.
to here, but this, you're saying what you're proposing is this as shown? You're not gonna change this?
Yeah, we will change it. We have.
Okay, so you're reducing the size to what's shown?
Yeah, to the size that it's requested, that's only on the frontage.
Okay.
So we will take care of it. We do plan on to take it down by the end of this month. So then for the next year, we will be adjusting it.
Are there any other questions on this application?
This just seems very realistic.
Yeah.
In what you can do in the space, so thank you for being real about
it. Thank you, guys. We understand how tight space is to try to simplify it as much as we could, but I appreciate this.
Yeah, and for showing up, and sorry we made you wait till the last.
No, it's okay. Thank you guys for doing this. It really helps us, and in case we had any questions as well. But I appreciate it.
Stella has a comment.
Of course.
I have two comments. The first one, it's when I went in person, I think that the manhole was actually partially in front of the frontage. So I don't think that the Roadway Cafe will be able to be the full 16 feet. A little bit less than that because the manhole kind of it kind of splits the difference.
Yeah, that does.
You can see how kind of the manhole is divided in half. So I think that where the barrier is now, I think it's good. But then it will be a little bit less than 16.
We can take it in more that way. There's more space between the manhole and the barricade.
We just raise it because depending on how the company, et cetera, or whatever, if they take these plans and speccing it, you're gonna have a structure that's too long.
Yeah.
You're building it on site, to site, to looks, it's different, but if you're utilizing somebody else, it's an important distinction because that measurement will be less. It'll be so the measurement of the length of the cafe would be from the southern side of the storefront to 18 inches south of the manhole cover, whatever that distance is the length of the roadbed sidewalk. I just bring it up because people have been saying this.
Yeah, we did. I think we did get cited for it before we had done this, but we will make sure that it's 18 inches at least away. So even if it eats up at the outdoor dining, I think it'll be fine as long as we're within guidelines.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't want you to provide plans to somebody.
Okay, no problem.
And then they prefab it and it's not fitting.
So what we would ask Nadia is I would just send you a 1-page modification that just says.
Okay.
And then you can just submit this plan updated with showing a shorter length that than the 16. I don't know what that is. I don't want to tell you what that is. I don't have that measurement for you, but it's a simple 1-page modifications form that you would agree to this bullet point of reducing the length to ensure that the 18 inches is met. So, and then you would just submit that form, signed and notarized back to us along with the updated site plan.
Okay.
Okay, so I.
No problem. I'll take care of it. Thank you
Okay.
guys so much. Appreciate it.
Anything else?
Have a great night. Take care.
I just was wondering,
Johnny, are you still on?
Yeah, I am.
I'm just wondering, do you currently have the requested or how do you feel about it now?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what the question was.
Sorry, I'm asking about the 88. Do you have one that you pulled out?
Yeah, we do have a removable one. So I'm not sure if we do have one, and then we also have like a little sign at the door that says you ring the bell and then we can bring it out.
Thank you.
Great.
No problem.
Is there anyone here in the room that would like to speak on this application? Is there anyone online that would like to speak, regarding this application? Okay, with that. Thank you, Nadia, we're reaching out to you, over email.
No, thank you guys. Have a great night.
Okay, and then next, the next thing we have on the agenda is anything for the FY 26 district needs statement and capital and/or capital and expense budget priorities. And also, if there's anyone from the public that would like to speak on that item, you can raise your hand here in the room or raise your hand online. But I will bring that for discussion, and then we'll go to business session. I honestly think a lot of it was just copy and pasted from the year prior, so if we still, I think if you read the district, if you read, it's in the, I linked it on the website. But I think like the district needs statement still says like, we have gone through COVID, so that's like a whole other issue. So-
I think it's hard to do because the program is just getting started.
Right.
And we don't know, and the way the fiscal years are pushed out is, it would be great to know, but we don't even, the program's not in place yet. So we don't even know if we can ask for more, except, I would say, except enforcement.
Okay.
But
Shouldn't we be trying to influence what they in the program or put in or add to?
that's a good point, but from a budgetary perspective, I think that most of the issues are not budget related. The issues are rulemaking, and also from city council, right? The two, first is the parameters of the program, which I think that there are some issues with, things that may have been missed or not put in to the legislation. And then secondly, I think that there's been some issues with the way DOT has done the rulemaking. And that seems to be everything we hear, not the budget aspect of it.
Could it be like a study is needed for a lot of people? I mean, this is the kind of thing that.
I'm not
Like for instance, the
disagreeing.
ADA stuff, you know, clarify that, clarify, how plans are submitted. That's all those kind of pieces that keep coming up.
But do they need more money
How
to?
they trying to do the study,
Right.
what actually should be included or, you know.
I think it's gonna get, I agree that I think there's something there, but I think it's going to get hit back to us and say like, hey, we're just rolling out this program. They haven't even approved, right, a license.
Contact the agency directly.
Yeah.
So you don't think, okay, yeah, I'm just saying.
I mean, like.
I'm not knowledgeable, but it just seems like, should we catch them in the bud?
Well, and then I have to say too, if we ask for more enforcement, the 311 system is not set up for the new program. It's all with the restaurant. There's certain violations that you can't, the rules that you can't So.
Well, that's a good point. That's a separate resolution of existing.
Exactly.
That doesn't
Yeah, that's what I'm
require
saying.
additional funding.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'm not sure that looking at the goals requires more funding because that would be existing staff. But that's, see what that's what I'm saying. There are issues more to the guidance and the rules. That's where the issues are, and the practicality. You know, for example, providing ADA access, you know, not having the guidelines. And we'll bring it up in when we get to the business session, but I noticed one thing which I forgot about is the tree pit in front of Lelabar suddenly renders moot a lot of the access point for ramp, because there's a tree that extends through this, but there's no guidance from but it's difficult to provide guidance for temporary access. And the idea is to provide the access through perhaps challenging situations. But unfortunately, because it's temporary, it doesn't mean you can't have a table and chair there. It's only when they have somebody making a request. It's a very challenging environment from they should have guidelines roughly on what is realistic.
Guidelines, maybe.
Well, Brian provided a solution, which is just have it raised, so you don't need to do it. And, you know, and that requires, you know, the complexity of the flooring. But we've also heard from a number of our residents that they don't want the flooring because, well, not just that, but drainage, and there's a million other things. So now getting specific,
But I think we all know that the city is going to have a prototype.
Yes.
Modular, upgrade, or all that, which obviates some of the problems with all the things and stuff like that. Temporary program have. So if these restaurants take advantage of that, then it's plug and play. They solve those problems simply by selecting what the city offers. But, like I said, I at least for a real want to do. There's no way I know. But, no, this is the same thing.
and I think that with Brian's comments, you know, one of the, if there are any tree pits or other obstructions which prevents access into the roadway dining, we may have to always make a suggestion that there is compliant flooring. Because that seems to be the only way, realistically, within tight access, that you can provide the seating. The access to the seating. Because it, unfortunately, you know, as we discussed before, most storefronts tops are 20 feet. Maybe there are a few that are wider, but most are not. Most lots are 25 feet wide. In fact, most of the applications are more narrow. And once you start providing any turning radius for a wheelchair, et cetera, and getting them seating, it's very complicated because it's very super tight space.
I mean, is this a ramp coming in here?
Looks like it's, yeah.
But
that
I mean, that's
assumes
quite
that-
remarkable, quite commendable, but
But that's in a floating
Yeah,
parking
yeah.
lane. If you look, it's in a floating parking lane, so the
right.
ramp is built in. Now, what's important about this is that whoever was designing this acknowledged that it's a temporary ramp into the bike lane. As we brought up, is not
Yeah, when I asked
realistic.
that question on their question and answer today of what to do, what is having.
Oh, right.
Accessibility, they said, see our guidelines. I don't see where it is.
The guidelines on there.
I don't see it in their, I mean, I see, it looks like a little ramp in their guidelines. They didn't tell me to go see this. They told me to see the guidelines. And
And unfortunately, this creates a bad situation because it becomes individual litigants who may be pursuing the businesses, and that's not a great way to have things that we've heard over and over. They should be providing better guidance.
Well, the guidance for silent cafes previously was totally different. Because it was the number of tables and chairs that would be allowed within the space.
Well, I think that this previous sidewalk cafe guidance was more realistic. The ADA access. Stella's point, ADA access, having an L or service aisle, the barriers would require the removal of that in order to provide the access if it were only a foot and a half. Which is not super unreasonable for a person to move in, but it doesn't allow the setup itself on its own without addressing it ADA accessible, unless the first table is ADA accessible, which I think might be the requirement, right? On the accessible table. I don't know, but this is where we're not having guidance. And, in fact, Valerie, when you did it, those are the types of people who should be, because they have the knowledge, right? She was super knowledgeable. Yeah, but she was super knowledgeable about it. Still not that knowledgeable, but saying, hey guys, what's important is if you order one of these systems to find this message, then it doesn't apply, you just wasted a lot of money. And we've heard that, that again, this comes up to money, right? Bad guidance, a lot of wasted money by businesses, and it's not fair for what the intention of this program was.
So it sounds like there's nothing on capital and expense, but it sounds like perhaps there's something we can maybe language put in the district statement that's a little more updated on. Right?
Yeah.
From my point of view.
Yeah, that sounds like that's that, and it sounds like there's some other things to be addressed. Perhaps we put them as an agenda item at a future meeting about ADA or guidance.
So updating the commentary and pointing out the rules and the legislation, and that there are some weaknesses within the rules through the rulemaking problem or rulemaking process and the legislative process. We're seeing so far, we have not heard many of these, that by not utilizing, for example, a professional architect, it ends up creating significant problems, and I'm not sure whether the weight of the cost versus the benefit is there, because I just wonder if people would have made different decisions if the preliminary review done by an architect would result in them actually applying.
Well, and that's I think you're making a great point, Carter, because I think too, also, there is some back and forth with the planner and DOT on these, and so they are adjusting their drawings, whether these drawings are done in like Microsoft Word or Microsoft Paint or something. There is some back and forth going on a little bit. But again, with the less accurate drawing, it's just, again, 7 months. It's about 7 months is what it took one of the ones, 6 to 7 months. I'm not saying that was the 7 months was spent on that one application, but it's slowing down.
Because we have 3, if not 4 applications where there's been a significant change that in the revenue model.
Right.
That, people may not have pursued this. So for example, we have the one on West 10th Street, which doesn't even look like anything, and unless you have a waiver, you can't even do anything, and even with a waiver, questions whether the licensing fees, even the initial one was even worth it. We have the other one with the place on Spring Street that wasn't particularly realistic. Again, professional guidance, what would have happened. We have the sidewalk here with significant change in the revenue
And the same
models.
thing with Mino.
And, well, no, but they still have enough tables that, but it's not down to one table.
Right, no, but it's still the same. You know,
Right,
significant
right.
number of students that they
Yeah.
made.
So,
There are many applications.
well, and I know, I mean, because I sit on the bid as well, and, you know, and was talking to, there's also not a, the road, so we don't have many in the bid to begin with, so that literally two hands for it. The bid is not that big, it's not all, but the other things, you know, for example, one is across the bike lane. It's like too complicated, and then the frontage isn't that wide. And then you also had some road bed sheds that weren't utilized depending on the style of operations, that it didn't allow them to continue the level of services. You know, so the road bed, well, of course, because you're so far away from the restaurant, you know, it's not. And then also under the temporary program, there's a lot more leeway. And now there's
Also,
not.
it's free.
Yeah, it's free. There's also a number of illegal structures that have been utilized. And so you remove those. So suddenly you come down to not that many. Yeah.
Also, I think the inertia of the November 1st deadline in general for, you know, so people may just not want to deal with it, so. Then it's spring.
But I do think that all of the existing sidewalk cafes are being continued. There.
Seem to assert that.
They're the pre-COVID,
Oh, the pre-COVID, oh, okay.
right? And then in the new one.
Oh, the old time.
Right. And then I don't, off the top of my head, I don't recall any new eating and drinking establishments that have been created since COVID began. And what you run into is the limitations that already existed. You know, and that could be street, the sidewalk widths, et cetera, signings, connections, manholes, all that stuff. That when people go back to investigate, those are the challenges, but those are the rules. As we're seeing, right? You know, in the applications.
All right, so, business session, yes.
Well, since we're talking so much about this in this particular district needs,
Yes.
I was going to bring it up and
Yeah.
but it is obvious to me that the only way for us to really judge it is to have accurate drawing. And if the city is not requiring it, the applicant doesn't provide it. What we have been doing, you and I on 10th Street and Stella and so forth, have been going there and measuring ourselves and making determinations. The next step is simply putting that together into a scale drawing that is accurate for our then review. We can disseminate it. So given that dilemma, I mean, who's paying us to do that?
Right.
Maybe there should be some money to pay for drafting services.
Oh, that's interesting. See, you put that into something tangible that put money behind.
To have a fund.
Fun.
After we run that, you
Or
know,
grant.
let's say with this first.
That's a good question. Yeah, who do we make the request?
Is it an SBS thing?
I think that, you know, if I just think it through, we would hire somebody with a CAD program on their computer that we would give them the information. And we would join them on a site. And so that it's one entity invoicing for each project and then.
I think what Valerie mentioned might the
Well, this was kind of two things.
Citywide.
So Brian is, I think what Brian's proposing, I took that to like, how do we give more money to everyone? I think Brian was saying that is that something for our budget or something that DOT gives to community boards? Or maybe not DOT, the city gives funding to community boards for draft people?
Well,
Or,
of course, I haven't had time to really.
yeah, no, yeah.
But
It's a kind of
perhaps either way,
complicated-
perhaps either way could work.
Yeah, it seems like this would be a good program for small business services and have a grant pool. Because not all locations would require this, you know, but we have many ones that seem a little bit more complicated.
And then one might say that we have the most expensive real estate in the city, whereas Norway have to be so well capitalized. Other communities outside
But that's not true. No, I would say that's not true. If you look at what DOT determined as the rates for sidewalk cafes, because they have already determined that method. And much of our board is not.
This is where Brian asked me to keep that idea. The dining out. We're talking about small businesses to support. That's where I got the idea of.
Let's fit in there, regulatory assistance. Putting together this line that shows compliance.
Well, it would be to further fund that, to include,
So I say is, what do you want?
a grant program for architectural services. Which I think that's, as we probably see it get more of these, some will have used professional architects. It's probably easier for them to do it right as opposed to rough drawings, because it's like, once you have your measurements, it's where you used to utilize them. Programs probably easier to do it than to.
Or you need to get more funding. Or, you know, who knows, use it to prove that other entities.
Well, I would imagine now people would be doing that because they're saving money this way. This is, US.
Well, right. It could be sold to the applicants and saying, just like Carter was telling one of the applicants tonight, if you don't get the measurements right and you make your setup, then and it doesn't fit, you've wasted all that money. So it really is a preventative measure, and it's be a cost saver in the long run because you don't know what you're avoiding as far as lost time, effort, and money, and so forth.
So do we want our, with a budget, do we want to propose Brian's idea and to elevate it even more, or to expand on that, expand it so that it's sort of grant program for businesses to acquire architectural services for fun? Is that?
And
Do
would
you
you
agree
agree
with that, Brian, or is that not? the way?
Sounds good.
Okay.
So is that still using the SPS program then? Or is this like a separate?
Yeah,
It seems to fit.
Yeah, it seems to fit there, yeah.
I mean, I think that
They have
the
the
businesses
financial
where this, comes into play is because it's sort of my understanding, this may not be accurate, but my understanding is that, you know, retaining an architect to provide plans is not based on how large your sidewalk cafe is, it's a hurdle of a cost. It's more complex, maybe with a higher cost, but we have so many smaller businesses that are trying to utilize, that's who needs the help, because the basis of making this financially viable is very tight. That's who would need the assistance, you know, for a smaller roadway cafe, for example, or a smaller sidewalk cafe, and making it fit. And, you know, the West 10 Sidewalk Cafe is a great example. I mean, that's like crazy once you start converging all the
Because it was
different
one
measurements.
it was a one table, and that's right, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Right, yeah, and that's, right, okay. Okay.
I do
Yes.
have a colleague that I work with, who is on the SPF department or works in that department, and I could ask her about the possibility of that program also providing this kind of service that we're talking about, you know, see what kind of feedback she can give on that. Just her opinion.
I think it would be interesting, yeah, I think we should submit it, so we can go to something already next week, but I think that would be super helpful. Even for further conversation.
And I think that, you know, one of the, you know, we heard tonight, this isn't we don't weigh in on this of whether we like the idea of having a sidewalk out there or not. Does it fit? And the does it fit part, I mean, if it fits, they're entitled to it, you know, barring any extreme situations, limited input from us on that. But I think that we also looking to help with our businesses who are part of our community, a program like this, because that's important for them.
Well, and it's the waste of time and fees if it's clearly not going to work, and that's, it seems to make it, you know, is one example from last month, and it's like, 9-inch to be in compliance, inaccurate measurements, and it's really 9 inches, that would be the entire width of the sidewalk cafe. It just doesn't make any sense. So
if a business, and I'll give you a reason this is important, right? As an architect, generally, you can build off of plans, right? That's very accurate. And what's happening is that if any of these modular programs are already granting services that help with that, if you already have an architectural rendering, you actually save on that program from them having to come to do things. Because they also have to, in order to order anything, you have to have accurate, either somebody has to come or you have to have a plan to build from. And it's not as straightforward because the curb cuts, et cetera, all the various issues, leveling them. There's a million different issues, you know, from the sidewalk plans as we've heard and seen, you know, the grade, if you remember the grade on Center Street, so extreme in the curvature of the road there that it created one whole set of conditions. And so you require on site, and you could save it by moving it to a different part of that process.
Right, okay,
Business and you're welcome, you're certainly saving your time. Look at all this is saving.
Right.
Oh, bad.
So business session, so Tropez sidewalk.
It seems to me there's room for a table and 2 chairs, right?
One table?
No, they'll have a table on each side.
Okay, no, you're right. I stand corrected.
We have to verify the distance
From
from
the
that
tree,
and
right.
Otherwise, it seems to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only one. That would be great, but yeah, that's the one measurement.
That's the one measurement. And I think you already have it notes for your modifications.
Right, that he's gonna sign that says that if he's approved for the, he brought it up, he did not ask for that.
That's right.
He, again, so just to confirm, and so, but knowing that, we still have an application, so the modifications. We'll have verified the tree pit.
Yeah.
Width, and we'll put it in there, and just, so that way we come into compliance and update the drawing.
And also the sidewalk, I'll reimagine that, you know, 10 or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, the statement he made about it, that he will withdraw this application for the sidewalk if the roadway cafe is approved, so that's what he brought up. He would sign and memorize it. So there's.
And then we also have extensive comments on the operation historically with the all the problems, the issues from the neighbors, that we need to continue that.
So can that be plugged in?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there can't be some qualitative stuff.
Yeah, there's qualitative, and what that goes to is the sidewalk hatch,
Sidewalk hatch,
which is always
Which
left
is-
open.
this is back to the roadway, and even though we're ready to review the roadway,
We can reopen it back up, but not send any modifications for the roadway.
so there are a lot of comments about that, and in their new plan that they sent us, they have dimensions for the roadway barrier border that would make the total length of the roadway 3 feet too long for their frontage. So that's it.
So the roadway, so we need them to, so we're reopening the roadway one, which we just commented on. And since we haven't submitted that one, I can include this new site plan in that one as well. Because that's what this update was for, and so if I send him modifications for the roadway, what do we need to have on the modifications? Then needs to shorten it.
That's right. If the total length from outside of the barrier to outside of the barrier cannot exceed the frontage.
Okay, what's the frontage?
It's 29 feet.
Right, I'll put that in the roadway.
So that's what he's saying, the roadway is.
We want
No,
the,
he's saying the interior of the roadway is 29.
That what he's saying?
He's got
but
barriers on both
the
ends.
whole thing has to be, including the
So
barrier,
including
width
the
has to be within 29.
So, and he also includes, so the
29.
29 feet of the interior, is 29 plus the include area and agenda 18.
Right.
So that's actually 32 feet, right? That's what Brian was saying.
The whole thing is to fit within 29 feet, which is the frontage. Okay, so we'll put that as a modification. For the roadway. it's a separate one.
Interesting, because it's actually drawn.
It's drawn-
It's drawn to reflect what you're saying pretty much. The one side, the red is lining up with the interior, not the exterior. At least on that side, the other side now. Yeah.
He also said that he would move the entrance to the roadway
Yep.
away from the hatch.
So on the sidewalk, so I've got clarification on the modifications we're gonna send him for the roadway. There's clarification on the modifications we're gonna send for the sidewalk. So where are we on, are we?
So the measurement just for Stella, right, from the corner of the tree pit, what's not, well, he gives the full width of the 2 tables and chairs, but he doesn't, I don't know what the measurement. It's from the western part of the door to the building line. I don't know what that measurement is, because that's the only space that you can, that's the only space you can have a table, and if there's an encroachment from the edge of the tree bed into that doesn't mean you can't have that table, because the barrier of it's not as, the door's in the middle, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right, well, we don't have all the dimensions.
That's right.
From the door to the edge of the storefront, which is where we're measuring to the tree bed, and all that has to fit together, and it's gotta be scaled. Also, there's no north arrow.
So we have to have them added.
Northwest.
I mean, that's a
We know
requirement,
which
that's a
direction.
requirement, that is a requirement on there, that's something that DOT is. Right, yeah, it's listed as a requirement, to be on the drawing. I put that in the. Yeah.
And that's just, and this is a reflection to Michael's comments when he was very emphatic that it wasn't to scale. And this is where that comes up, is that it's difficult to discern the proximity of the various elements.
Right.
And we still don't have any answer also, and I don't know if anybody has asked Mr. Engel on this, or who to ask, is if something is not in compliance on the plans, and it's determined not to be in compliance later, what is the corrective course of action? If the plan is approved, no, but if the plan is approved with incorrect information, what is the recourse to correct it? And, you know, especially if they've already collected the funds. But obviously nobody's paying attention, but if it's brought to their attention that there's a mistake, then what?
Or it may not be found out until after they're in operation.
That's right. And that goes to the reality, right? Of stuff fitting in.
Right, how do you ensure the plan on the record, or, yeah, we don't have to speak, but what if it's a big not correct?
But aren't we
Well, that's why we keep pushing the.
But that doesn't mean it's right.
Right.
But it doesn't mean it's right, I'm just saying, if it's approved incorrectly, what's the course for correction?
Right, because not everyone has agreed to the modification, so, like, we got ghosted by. We motion these. Never responded to the modifications proposed, we're really trying to make that work, and they pulled their sidewalk. By their own accord, they did not sign anything saying that they did. Always ask. I'll ask. So, San Tropez Sidewalk Cafe, are we approving it? Modification?
It's pending the measurements, right? Measurement, if Stella goes and visits, if that table, those table of two chairs fits, I'm fine with what presented. If we include the public comment. But, I mean, it meets the requirements, but I think that's still.
That's definitely, you're going back.
Okay.
And you measure to the street bed and all the rest. Could you measure from the edge of the storefront to the door?
Yeah, so you want that.
How much room there is for tables and chairs?
Yeah.
That's my question, so I'll measure the width of the sidewalk first, see if it's 10 or if it's more. If it is 10, we're okay with it being a 2-foot wide sidewalk? Because they can certainly.
That's correct.
Okay. And then I'll measure the tree pit. And then I'll measure the distance between the door, the edge of the door, and the storefront edge. And what measurement is it?
So similar to the West 10, what we're trying to determine is the rectangle.
Yeah.
But you have to go out for 2.5 feet.
Yeah, I'll go out to 2 or 2.5 feet.
Yeah, just is there a rectangle within which this would be?
And at what, I'm wondering, like, what is that length that we are gonna say this?
Oh, I think that 5 feet is.
Maybe the chalk?
We're talking about 4 feet.
No, but that's not, that's
take
with
chairs in.
the chairs in. I was just saying that that's not realistic, right?
Right.
You know, you have to have a little bit of room, so it's 5 feet. Even if it were 4.5 feet, but the whole point is that it is there reasonable space.
So if all 3 of those are met, if it's 10 feet, we're okay with the 2 foot, so then we would approve it with modifications. Being the sidewalk. One modified. The sidewalk,
When the
one
measurement comes out, okay, then.
the tree, okay. Then the modification, I guess if those are all fine, the modification is, he said he would pull the sidewalk cafe if the
Yeah,
roadway.
that's right.
Right, so that's one, that's it, right? Right, measure. So it's, if it doesn't meet, so is this one of those denial, and then if this one.
They can, they can have.
Okay.
They can have the
They
one.
can have this one for sure.
Well, it's contingent on if Stella's measurements, if Johan agrees with them, it's obvious it doesn't work realistically. If it does fit, then it does fit. But we
Okay, so,
don't know the
so once we
measurement.
get your measurement, then I
the
can say
measurement-
it's either gonna be one table or two tables.
Right, and it's either between the door and the building line and the tree pit. Those are the three,
Okay.
the three measurements that seem to be critical. And then even if there is more width, because the sidewalk width, it doesn't really impact this, it's still, you know, it's parallel to the.
Okay, good. All right, so,
I would ask Stella if we're assuming that it's convenient or okay for you to go back, I mean.
thank you.
Because if not, you know, there are others.
And I might want to go tomorrow, so I can text.
I don't think I'll go tomorrow, but I mean, if others wanna go in addition. It's helpful to go with Brasserie,
Yeah.
you know. 'cause
So-
We have,
they're-
we have until
they're-
30th to submit this.
And the checklist, you might want to put, is there a box within which the table and chairs fit, right? Because we keep coming back to all the measurement arcs, and then it leaves, is there a rectangle within which table and chair fit?
Okay. Okay, so next, Mino, Brasserie, I have one modification, one table
This is also pending measurements.
on the curbside, remove your tables. So we need to go back out and measure.
Well, Johan said that he wanted to remeasure to verify what we had said. And the verification is, what is the remaining space in the manhole? And that's for the west. South, and then southwest, whatever. And then on the apartment to the north is, right. But I don't,
This is denial until.
yeah, but I just want to bring up something, this reality point on the previous program, that this was a licensed sidewalk cafe. And so that table was allowed, single table was allowed to go, you can see it in some of the Google street views. Table did go up to the building line, and it was one table against the wall with a 3-foot service aisle. So I just bring that up that, you know, I'm not so sure that table against the building issue, more than, you know, accessing around the light pole and all of that space. So
So it's a denial unless.
it's not, it's either approval or denial, and
Approval or approval modification.
he was going to, he wanted to satisfy, I think he would agree, depending on what the measurements say, if he's not in disagreement.
Okay, so it's either an approval or a denial?
Yeah, I mean, meaning that if we have a discrepancy in the measurements, it wouldn't, you know,
Then he
I
would,
guess.
so you're saying he would modify the site plan? I'm just trying to think if we're going to give the signs to make sense to have just one table on the curbside.
Well, I think we just need an updated plan with accurate measurements. And that answers itself. Because then you can only have one table and 2 chairs.
Okay, so I don't need to send them on.
Well, I think
Or is the modifications one going to?
that's going to be
make
the
an action?
agreement on what he says fits. Again, this is the problem when we find out a measuring error. And I appreciate Johan's, you know, movement forward on this. He said, well, I want to measure, I want to be in compliance. So we just brought up a couple of issues here that he wasn't aware of the measurement factors. So it needs to be redone, and somehow, if he agrees that there was a measurement error, it somehow has to be memorialized. And whether that's through a modifications agreement, whether that's through an updated site plan that he presents to us and to DOT, there's a number of different ways to do it, we just want it to be accurate. So I guess that's at the end of the day, we still need an updated site plan that goes to DOT that reflects.
Right, so the way that I've gotten an updated site plan is I've sent a modifications form, I did it sign, and then they also provide.
Okay,
the
then that's,
site
then that's,
So this is in the street.
no, the sidewalk,
Oh, you
The Mino
can
wine
understand
bar
that
as
against
well.
the street.
Oh, this is, sorry, this is,
This is the next one.
no, this is me now, okay.
This is also yours.
This is also you. Okay, so then,
The Google Maps from 2014, so this is not Mino, I mean, it's where Mino is now.
Right.
But you can see better, like, the street light was still there, and the manhole was still there, and 8 feet here, but also 18 inches here.
Yeah,
I don't know
exactly.
what you'll say, but it doesn't seem like that's reasonable.
Right, for that, for
Two
anything.
chairs, yeah.
That's a good,
What if they
can you
should have
save
had
that,
five,
can you save that image in the drive?
they should have had
Oh,
five tables and 10 chair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
But this goes past their. I guess.
and with the service lane, it wouldn't have allowed for another road. Service lane.
Okay, so, are we ready to move on to Lelabar? So Lelabar sidewalk is a denial. Will approve with modifications if they agree to one table, either 1 2-top.
No, one table and 2 chairs.
One table, but either it's 1 2-top or one table.
I made a mistake during that, when it was going off of their 8-foot measurement that they had provided. And I pointed out that
So
a
1
10
2-top?
foot, no, a 10-foot requirement. And so there really is only one room for one table and 2 chairs.
We can vote on these off at the end, because I still have not really liked to vote. This is all seems like contingent.
Right.
You can also send it, say something about the cellar board.
All right, the cellar door. Just verifying it's.
Okay. And then the roadway,
Would we receive that? I don't think we may.
No, no.
well, we don't have access to the portal, it would be in the portal. But we haven't commented on other cellar doors being reinforced, have we? I'm just asking.
This has
But we
never been
somehow-
used.
Huh?
This has never been used. And I don't think we've had many on top of cellar doors, actually.
West End.
But you don't understand.
We
why
just
that's
kind of
a-
assumed that was, I mean, because they're supposed to get it.
The reason that I haven't commented on is because during their liquor license application, that they weren't using it. They had other access, you know, west and west.
Okay, I'll ask. The roadway, we think that it extends. It extends 2 feet past. I was thinking that it says 2 feet extends past.
They showed it in compliance with their. But seating inside of that area would not accommodate, in that size, they had too many tables and chairs. And it was very difficult for us to determine that without an accurate diagram. So the table and chair size was indeterminate, or didn't look like it fit. They are sometimes use umbrellas, and that creates a whole other obstacle. And of course, the flooring and ADA access, indicated, or we didn't see any evidence of, the application, so we have a home in that.
So my notes, I just can't read my notes about 2 feet. I see that we're gonna ask them for 6 tables, 6 2-tops, 12 seats. Confirm umbrellas are not going to be used. They didn't check it on the box. form and addressing the ramp and all of that. So those are the three items.
And
So
do
we-
we care that everything is two tops, or is it, or can it be? Four tops? I
We
mean,
can't, we
Well,
can't make
can-
that determination. We don't have the information to make that determination. What's shown, we can make that determination. That does not work, that would not be
Right.
approved.
And then the
So,
other,
so I'm saying, am I asking them to, I'm not asking them to reduce the number of tables.
no, you have to, because what's shown is a fit.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. That's
So-
what I have my notes, reducing to 6 tables, 6 two
No,
tops.
We're not quantifying what they can fit into the space when all the dimensions are taken into account, including the access.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring up on the access, if you go to this.
But
look
really
at the-
quickly, I guess I don't have this chair. So when I'm asking them to make a modification to this, what am I asking them to do in the roadway? Am I asking them
You're
to take
asking
out?
them to realistically make tables and chairs fit.
What if they just come back and they say what they do?
They don't, we know they don't. Because the reasonable, yeah.
That's why I was kind of more asking of,
The
it's easier for me to give them
perpendicular,
a number.
I understand what you don't, you know.
Okay, fair.
So the other issue though that comes up is, if you look at their site plan, is the only way for, access to the roadway is through the northern side. Southern side doesn't provide accurate turns. That in turn lends itself that they have to have a service aisle to the east side. Because unlike other roadways, you can't access. So if they didn't have the tree there, you have direct, you can go in between these things. But in this particular case, they're not wanting a tree bed. And so you have to have an interior service aisle in order to access the seating. And that also raises the issues of ADA compliance further.
So the reason to not have tables and chairs down there is that. The way
I guess I'm just trying to understand like how to communicate what change we want.
Well, we don't know what, I guess.
Well, we could
could
ask for revised dimensions that include barrier sizes and therefore the remaining interior dimensions of the roadway has interior dimensions inside the 18-inch barriers.
The more this is. Work
Yeah.
for two tops across. If the barriers are 18 inches and you subtract 3 from 15, you're left with 12. We're already in 444.
I don't really, the 4 tables, we're not telling,
Well, you,
You have some that you do the measurements.
no, we're asking for a realistic depictions of the tables and chairs within the dining area. They've given us accurate dimensions. What's inaccurate is the rendering.
Yeah,
The size of the table.
The size of the table.
as to
So I'm gonna ask this. This worked when we did this with Partners Coffee. They replied right away. They updated the plans. They like went back to the site and measured the roadway. They did not show up. We lucked out with that. This applicant did not show up, and I've been spending all this time and asking all these questions. So why do we think that with them just hearing we want revised dimensions, like, and what?
But Valerie, let's just step back for a second. So if you were to have a dialogue, for example, the dialogue is this: they provided us dimensions that are 8 feet by 15 and a half feet. If you subtract on the length of the sidewalk cafe provided 15.5 feet, but it's actually the interior is only 12.5 feet. And on the width, they provided a measurement of 8 feet, but it is only 6.5 feet on the interior.
Then that's what I need.
And so 6.5 feet, you know, by 12.5 feet, the table and chair drawings is not work at all. It's unreasonable. And if you say, for example, if you're using standard 2 top and 2 chairs, even around for the square table, they're typically 2 feet in diameter. And then if you have a table and chair, which is bigger than 1 foot, you know, if you need space to pull it back, you need your legs underneath, and then you have to your service aisle. You suddenly don't have the way it's presented
I see
here.
that, that's all I needed. I
The
just
room.
needed that.
And if you put the tables and chairs parallel to the storefront, even 3 tables and 6 chairs is questionable because there's no room to access the outer tables and chairs. And so we're not here to design this for them, but practically speaking,
It doesn't fit, no.
I don't think that the practicality of 6.5 feet by 12.5 feet is something that is considered, you know, just even on taking what they have now, throwing down the tape measure on the ground and seeing where the tables and chairs fit. And they have 2 weeks to do that. They have to take it down. So.
Well, let's see, if they put a table like this in space, with just enough room at one end to get around to the side from the curb, then they could.
Here's a quick question. We'll get to these ones. So the question is, I guess, how do you retain that space back? Like, are they just gonna hold it and not use it? Like, so yeah, like for the roadway, like, do they have to currently have a roadway space, or are they just gonna keep it locked in a?
No, they want to take it down, but it's just you. The couple days, nobody comes to use it. So, yeah, I mean, whatever the rules are. But the other issue also, which I can see an astute applicant responding with, and this is true, the rules don't say where you have to put tables and chairs. The diagrams don't have to be there. So the reality is that it's more important that their dimensions of the roadbed are built accurately. Because if it's accurately built,
Whatever you want.
it doesn't matter. And the larger point here is that UDA access and that it fits in the space, and that those are both considered. Because personally, you know, if they put in other dimensions of stuff or other chairs, I don't really care if there's some larger party that's out there and you put together a bunch of tables and chairs. You know, it doesn't, well, you know, but it really is not, it's not in the rules, so you're allowed to do that. And that's, you know.
And part of the modular system that city has provided, if they want to buy that, it includes a bench.
Right.
Built-in bench.
Yeah.
Which I think.
Yeah.
All right, Keystone Maps. I just have, number,
Could have just changed the dimension.
Yeah.
The exterior dimension of the road.
and resubmit the plan to us.
And the way she's presented this is very realistic,
Right.
you know, for what fits. And they, you know, she didn't try to overdo it. It's just like, well, whatever fits.
Right, and it's, they're done. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, she has an ADA plan, so.
Yeah, no, I've seen them put that out. In the whole
Yeah.
wood ramp that they put out
Okay.
there.
I only found my own thing. Okay, so I can send them the minutes. New business?
So I just want to put on the table that we all vote to approve this.
Yes.
Yeah.
For them?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, great.
All
Yeah,
in favor?
great.
Right.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. New business, I emailed out, we received an application for Latal. I have not had a chance to look at it. I don't know if anyone else has. And it is-
547.
Yeah, 547.
Oh.
And I think this is licenses up right off your cruise that was in the business.
Yeah, and I think too, this is the one that has a weird,
Somebody was.
a weird agreement. There's some
Yeah.
weird agreement where they extend across into Joe and the Juice.
Is this for Roadway or is this for Sidewalk now?
I think that there's a lot of interest from the community here.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of problems. And this, the previous business, I believe, which is still the same corporate entity, but I think under a different name, there were significant complaints during COVID with a lot of violations. There's also a bike lane in front of the space, and I think that there's a bike rack and some other things, which,
I'd be interested to see how accurate these are, because I've gone, some people told me I've had somewhere, you start to get into all of this, and it takes it down to like here and here, like it just, again, I'm not sure how accurate this is. Clearly it's not done by an architect, I'm assuming. Also, because there's also like, it's an elevation and it's a site, like I don't even know what this is, like it's, right, like it's, yeah, so. Yeah, so I mean, it's really tight. I mean, look at this, I don't, it's hard to imagine, now I see that this seems to extend, I don't know if that's.
That may.
Doesn't be just the building line.
The picture was there.
But I really have a hard time picturing 6 tables here. And if the cellar door is so many feet. Yeah. But this is saying, yeah.
And it's interesting too, because just looking at that, there's no 6 tables and 6 feet.
well, it's also no service.
But so like, how are you getting to one on the left side?
Well, there's been.
How can the people even get to those seats?
Well, that's realistic.
Yeah. Treatment of this. Anyways, we're supposed to we haven't measured it, but that's coming up. And it's, also, I'd like to point out that this, was referred to us today, which we have not referred on a Tuesday.
But it was Monday.
But it was Monday with the holiday. Also, they had a deadline as 9 days from now, and that's incorrect. So maybe you referred it back to us. This is the second time we've had an incorrect deadline. And the last one, they just said, oh, yes, it's in the system this way. And for this one, they did refer it to us with the date, and I have to make sure that the council member is also in notice of that date. So
There's also a significant, one of their photographs for those who are a significant tree pit.
yeah, this one.
No, right there.
Yeah.
So that arc, is significant where that arc hits.
Right here.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
realistically,
Yeah.
so This is one of those ones which,
Those 6 tables.
we wish we had a better.
That diagonal would be 8 feet, not 5 feet, because it's not.
Yeah, this is not in front of it, they're building line.
Oh, so they did the.
No, but even at
No,
8
I
feet.
would say it's the hill, so they really need to clear path, because it's clear path on the diagonal.
No, it's the bus on it.
Well, is
Yeah,
that,
clear path is.
No, I have from an email from Pete
So
that says,
Let me.
can we ask, well, I think that you
Read
would watch the,
my notes from today, from the. No, I'm sure you have it, but read from the Q&A today, and I'll go back, and maybe I asked that question, maybe I didn't ask it correctly, but I think I asked how you measure the clear path. From the 3 feet, the 3 feet is adjacent, not in front of, adjacent to your sidewalk cafe. And they said on a diagonal.
okay.
Which I thought they used to say, my understanding, I'm surprised I got that answer, was because I thought once before they said it's straight in front of them. Otherwise, you just have to do that, right? You have to jag around for no space.
So it's at a diagonal, but on the checklist, that diagonal dimension is listed.
No, it's listed as a minimum of 8 feet. Double check it, that's 8 feet, but it's the clear path. So if the clear, if we're on a regional, it's the 10 foot.
Well, that contradicts what we found out. It's 10.
But 10 feet was 8 feet. Clear path.
so there's also another question in here, which I think is,
It does.
this is a little bit of an anomaly, for that on 10th Street. it actually was a- But in this particular case, it's also in front of the building. It's not part of the front. Enough to clarify the question. Well, it starts to,
It does in clear path.
well, this is sort of the issue is look at it and where it is in the building. If it's in front, it's 10 feet, and it's 1 foot off, it's 7 feet. That makes no sense to nature. If it were further away, it would make sense. But it starts to be, intention becomes difficult to understand. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't understand why it would be okay for.
I think many of us agree. But it's an inconsistency. But I think that we need to ask these questions also again and again, because it seems to be that the answers,
Be nice to get an
the
answer.
interpretations are,
Clear path is measured from the outer edge of the perimeter of the sidewalk cafe to the nearest element or object and is not measured as a radius.
yeah, but what exactly?
I remember when they first announced.
Yeah, because you can measure a diagonal, it's not a radius. That's just a diagonal measurement. And
That's true.
it doesn't make any sense because it presumes perpendicular measurements, which, what is,
Okay, so let's talk about next month, our next meeting is on, I believe, it's Tuesday. Talked about,
okay, so which, November?
November,
That's a Friday.
Oh, today's the 15th, sorry, we would, it's the 12th. We have November 12th and December 10th, those are 2 Tuesdays. So I don't know, we need to move. I don't know if we should, maybe I'll just see availability, I don't know. I don't know, this whole thing of the audio not working, is a problem. Also, we did request for applicants to appear in person this one, but we did not really land with the two that did. So.
Is that part of the rules?
That's something that, so we have told them that while we understand they are not required to appear, it is highly encouraged, and if they do select to appear by their own volition, that they would have to do that in person. So, as you can see, we spend a lot of time back and forth. Most of people in the public do not hear us very well, and it just would have wasted a lot of time.
So the late ties, the deadline for submission is when for that?
24.
No, that was incorrect. So what is of November?
November.
And that's accurate.
Yeah, she wrote it back. She
Okay.
re-referred it. I just have the old copy in there.
Okay.
What is our full board now?
The 24th, I think, runs into. Yeah, I've never had a Sunday deadline. Usually it's on a Saturday. But it's just sort of another calls. The full board is looking at the 21st now, Thanksgiving is the 28th. It's the last. It's the last Thursday is the 21st.
It's also this application. So, yeah. But it's just as a point, as a group that, start getting 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 a week, which it sounds being happening. We have to that, whether it's more in one meeting, whether or not, I don't know if it's for somebody else, but starting more earlier.
Yeah.
Or even before some other meetings.
Just doing 1 and 2.
Just doing a few as go. I think, and I don't know people's availability, but it just seems, I know this has been happening for months, like coming, and it doesn't, but.
Are we starting earlier or just doing?
Well, even if they're not that many, it's still like not that many. A couple hundred. Right?
So here's the answer. Here's my question. There is a street immediately adjacent to my sidewalk cafe, but not in front of it. How is the clear path measured? It's measured on the diagonal and only required to meet the clearance required. So does that mean clearance of the 8-foot clearance
No,
instead of the 10-foot?
The clearance required is the clear path.
Okay, so 10 feet.
No, but that's.
For this one.
But that is not a clear question or a clear answer.
Yeah.
Because you just did that in chat somewhere without his saying, here's an example that we have in front of you, what is the requirement. That's what we need to do with that. Because these answers change.
Yeah.
And we need a definitive answer, and that definitive answer, we should request that it be updated in the guidance.
Well, their guidance actually shows radius. The diagram shows radius is all over the place. I'm just saying.
But a straight measurement, a straight measurement is a straight measurement. How do you determine the distance between 2 points?
Right.
With a straight measurement, not a radius.
Right.
So the radius requirement, and this is where it can come into play, is what happens if the radius is less somewhere else, but not their roadbed. Nobody cares about that measurement if there's another obstacle.
Right.
The concern is the distance from the object to the
Right.
sidewalk cafe. And that may be why they stopped talking about the radius, but I think the radius is used as a convenient way from an architect to just show what all the measurements would be from this. It doesn't mean it's an 8-foot radius measurement.
Well, anyway, I was surprised when I got the measurement on the diagonal answer because they totally contradict.
Well, and what this all goes back to is what is the corrective action? And what is the corrective action? Because if you just did that in chat somewhere without his saying, here's an example that we have in front of you, what is the corrective action? of an inappropriately issued license.
Alright, I'm gonna email this out, but this is a bulletin from DOT from earlier this summer, I mean, from DOB. And then it just is, ADA here. If it's more information, you just, I'll just send it. Alright, thank you.
It's just saying that you have to comply with all the code requirements in chapter.
Which is.
Doesn't matter if it's inside or outside
That's
or
alright.
new or old.
That's alright.
Right.
Right.
But then what do we do about the one that?
Alright, yeah, a motion to adjourn.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Alright, great. Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you for